awesome. They ensure that they listen to them. Give us listening here. There was never a time we wanted them to do something and they didn't do it.
The organizers and facilitators, I would say big thank you to you all, because without you all guys, we can't. I'm sure we've all seen Power BI online, but we won't be able to use it to the level at which we can. Even as small as Microsoft Excel, I've always used Microsoft Excel, but during the training, I actually learned it. So thank you all so much.
If there's anything I want to facilitate, work on is big area of regulation. Although we had time to find the learning time, I think we need to work whereby stick to whatever we have in our friends.
My advice to the organization for me is that I think there should be like a section whereby we think trainees will get to interact with that. If you're on WhatsApp, you get to share some of our pictures that will never except from there you're connecting the trainings. One person might actually need the help of the other person, or maybe, you know, because the training, apart from it being all about Excel and Power BI, it's actually good beyond that. You have to interact. And the only way we have to do that is during this project phase.
For being in a group, it was a very good idea. You know, apart from the fact that, you know, we were able to collaborate, you know, to rub minds, share ideas, it's kind of, it brought exposure. Being in a group doesn't say apart from the fact that
Chukma Eberani.
yes.
Friend of mine, disabled Shola, sent me to join the team.
During the announcement section in church, I work as a sound engineer in Covenant Nation.
From church, the Covenant Nation. I had the announcement in church and I keyed into it.
And I'm really glad I participated.
Church, Covenant Nation. I had the announcement in church and that's what the government. Family in other countries have much more data. But yes, it also does and also be
everything about the training interesting, they'll probably probably because I've been willing to learn about the science for a whole day now. That's rapid just in time.
World very to digital friendly tools, of course, even though professionally I'm not currently using as much technology. This experience has been very enlightening and definitely lots about how BI is
So yes, this project is really the section which I'm really grateful for, because it actually stretched us. Every single thing which we learned, we had to implement it. We had to go all out there to set the data. Like I, for instance, I'm a website developer, I'm a software guy, I guess I'm a graphics guy, I'm into tech, but beyond all of that, I might also follow members. I'm sure we all go online to search for data, but this training has actually stretched us, knowing how to compare our data.
The things I learned, or the major thing I learned about is the BI. I've always envisaged learning it, but I've not taken that step. This has given me that bonus. It's a very wonderful introduction into the world of business. And things I learned, the major thing I learned about is BI. I've always envisaged learning,
very approachable. Thank you.
Awesome. They ensure that they listen to us. They give us listening
the organizers and facilitators, I would say big thank you to you all, because without you all guys, we can't. I'm sure we've all seen Power BI online, but we really won't be able to use it to the level at which we can. Even as small as Microsoft Excel. I've only used Microsoft Excel, but during the training, I actually learned it. So thank you all so much.
If there's anything I want to participate in, what on this big area of production? Although we had time to be like, I think we still need to work on the yes, and stick to whatever we have in our time.
My advice to the organization for me is that I think we should be a section whereby the trainees will get to interact more. That would be if you're WhatsApp, we get to share some of our features and what never said from there, you're connecting the trainees. One person might actually need the help of the other person, or maybe, because the training, apart from it being all about Excel and Power BI, it actually goes beyond that. They have to interact. And the only way we have to do that is during this project.
For being in a group, it was a very good idea. Apart from the fact that, we were able to collaborate, to rub minds, share ideas, it's kind of, it brought exposure. It was a very good idea. Apart from the fact that,
welcome everyone to this class. To this class, we take a look at Hello, good morning. Thank you all for joining the induction ceremony. My name is Joseph. Sorry for this slight mistake. My name is Joseph Roland. I am the coordinator for Twicher. And in today's session, so this is an induction ceremony before we kickstart the main training, which will start next week. And it was important for us to do this because what we realized over time is that majority of the people that come into the training don't have a prior knowledge of what it takes to excel in the field of maybe data analytics, software development, cloud computing, or whatever technology stack of choice that you chose. So what we decided to do was to get people who have been in the field, who have had their own experiences, who have had their own failures, to share this information that will serve as a guideline for you while you are trying to navigate your path around becoming a successful software engineer or a cloud engineer. So in today, the first person we have on the call today is David. Is David Abu. So David is a Microsoft certified trainer, and he is also Microsoft global is a global cloud advocate for Microsoft. So so pleased to have him on the call this morning. Hello, David. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. So thank you for joining us. How's your day been?
It's fine. It's fine. Thank you for bringing me here.
Okay. Sorry, can we see your face? I know the students would like to place a face on who is.
Okay, can you see me?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
All right. So how has the journey been for you as a data analyst?
Okay. So hi everybody. For those on YouTube, nice to see all of you. So if you have your questions, just type them in the comments and I'll keep answering them as we go. So for me, my journey has been more of a more practical way in which I just needed to understand that, yeah, I need to develop myself in the things I do. And it has, I will not say it has been fun, but definitely it has been worthwhile. Yeah.
Okay, so what were you doing before you decided to jump into the field of data? What inspired that that move?
Okay, so it was in 2018. I was working in Ikoyi, and I was more into doing ORM, doing more of PR, public relations, doing more of social media management. So those digital management skills, social media and stuff. We're running PR, political offices for political personnel in the country, in Lagos. So that's what we're doing, and it was fun. Sincerely, it was fun. That was where I started even learning Excel. That's why I saw Excel. I started using Excel. Then going close to the end of the year, the business wasn't going as expected. When it was a one-man business, a PR firm was a one-man business, and that was how I knew that I can't start going to look for another job just the same way, just because I don't have skills that much. So after like 8 months in 2018, I took an online course and I started learning. So I can't remember if it was Udemy, but definitely it was an online course I did. I think Coursera, I think it was Coursera. And started learning pivot table analysis and stuff like that. And that was how I got into data analysis.
And ever since then, how has the journey been? How what will you say that you've seen a difference between when you were just working and now having a specialized skill? What satisfactory does that bring to you as a human?
Recognition in the first place and perfection. So I would say recognition in the sense that it makes you more focused. And it's so easy for people to say, oh, David knows Power BI, or David knows Excel, or David knows SQL. So when you have a specialized skill, it's easy for people to be able to focus on you, and it gives you that sort of recognition. So when you have a specialized skills, recognition is so easy for you to have because they know the type of value that you're creating. When it comes to perfection, nobody is perfect, but it's easy for you to know that you're on the road to perfection. You can't even get to the end because everybody keeps learning. Technology keeps improving. The technology that we use for analysis 5 years ago, 7 years ago, is not what we are using now. Then if you're using Excel, you're using Power View, you're using pivot table for your analysis. But now people don't use pivot table that much. Now you use Power BI. So you are improving and you're getting to a level of perfection. And that is just those two things that changes when when you don't have a skill and when you now have a skill. So it's so easy for people to say, oh, I know David, he does this. I know David, he does this. So that's just it.
Okay, so very one thing you mentioned that really struck me is the keyword focus, right? Because I don't know if it was part of your journey becoming a successful data analyst, right? Because what I've seen in some of the people that are coming into the field newly, whether you are coming in as a data analyst or a software engineer, is that there's no, that focus is not there. So you see someone learning Power BI today, tomorrow you are learning Tableau. Before you know, you said, no, Python is the in thing. Before you know, we are hearing, no, I'm moving into UI UX. So what will be your advice for people who are coming into this field newly?
Okay, so just let me first put a disclaimer. Data analysis is not about softwares. It's about the goal in which you are trying to achieve. So learning Power BI, learning any other softwares is fine, but you need to understand what goal you're trying to achieve. No company will employ you because you say, oh, I know Power BI, I don't know any other one. Or I know any other one, I don't know Power BI. It doesn't work that way. What they will tell you is that, oh, know a data visualization skill. Power BI, this. That is just how it works. Or they'll tell you no R, Python, stuff like that. So you need to understand that focus is important. No matter what, focus is important. I started with Excel. Then I moved into Power BI. I can tell you for free that I have not learned any other data visualization skill. I have not. So I'm not learning it just because, oh, I don't want to learn it. It's just because sometimes it's better for you to be focused on what you do. So will there be other visualization tool that I might learn going forward? Maybe, but it's easier for you to know something and know it well. A whole lot of us, we just know it. We are just, I've baked Power BI, I've baked another application, I've baked. And they say, oh, what do you know? You say, oh, I know everything. You don't know everything. So you should be good in one, that you can say you're good in one. Then it is when a project or something comes up and say, oh, you need to learn this skill, then you pick it up, you learn it. People know better with projects. If you say you just want to learn it for free, sometimes the focus, the determination will not be there. People learn, for me personally, if you tell me I should just go and learn Python, I might just not learn it. But if you tell me that in the next 6 months, we are using Python for a project and you need to know it before then, I will learn Python. It's a must, I will just learn it. So, but for you to get into the market or into workplace or anything like that in data analysis, it's not about even the skill. It's about you understanding 3 things. I need a data source. I need to clean that data and I need to visualize that data. Which tool will give me those 3 things? Then you do it. It's as simple as that. Either Python gives you, or Power BI gives you, or any application gives you. That is just it. I did that mistake too. One time I was doing an interview and they said, oh, okay, so what makes up a data analyst? And I was talking about Power BI. No, that was the mistake. You don't talk about the tool. You talk about the process of you creating your solution. And a whole lot of people think Power BI is equal to data analyst. No, it's not. It's just a tool. It's just like Excel too. It's just like, oh, I want to document something. Oh, how do you document it? You use Microsoft Word. I can use Microsoft Excel to document. Documentation has nothing to do with the tool. Documentation is documentation. Analysis is analysis. It's just, okay, which tool do you want to use to analyze the data? And that is where the applications comes in. Oh, am I using Power BI? Am I using this other software? Am I using this other software? So focus helps you to understand what you want to do. Focus tells you that, oh, okay, fine, I need to learn this, I need to learn this. Is it bad for you to learn 3 visualization tools? No, it's not bad. But can you beat your chest and say that when a project is given to you, you can do it when you know 3 visualizations too? That might be another question entirely. So, but focus helps you to say, oh, good, I am good in this. And how do you know that you are so good? Is by taking up projects. Go online, take up projects, and work on it, work on it, and work on it, work on it, and work on it, and work on it. And that's just how it works.
Okay. Yeah. So thank you so much for that advice, which is very important in being successful in this field of ours. My other question now is what are the market opportunities for a data analyst? For instance, let's take because on the call we have people joining from India, we have people joining from different parts, and then the Nigerian context. What are the market opportunities and what is the future for data analysts?
Okay, so on Twitter, I think yesterday or Thursday, I saw a tweet that says that now data analysts are now like full stack data analysts. Full stack means that you're learning the back end, you're learning the front end. Back end means you have to be good with SQL, you have to be good with, let's say, maybe Dynamics 365 or Azure. Then front end, you have to now be good with the visualization and stuff like that. You have to be good with storytelling. Now, the job opportunity is there. It has always been there. Just Google data analyst job. Just Google it, you will see it. It has always been there. The issue might be location. So it might be issue of location. It might be issue of skills. So some people say, oh, I don't have internship skills. I've not done internship before. I know it, but I would love to have internship opportunities. That might be another issue entirely. But are they data analyst job? Yes, they are. My friend last 2-3 weeks didn't cancel the job offer of 600K. Data analyst. That is just how it works. So wow. There are always job opportunities. There are always job opportunities. The question is that do you have the experience for those roles? And that keeps me with where the learning comes in. If you don't calm down, focus and learn, you just want to just go into the job market, it won't work. Because even right now, companies don't want to train people as much as possible again. Gone are the days where they say, just bring in your certificate and we'll train you and stuff like that. Now, they'll prefer that you have that skill before coming on board. They'll even give you tests. They'll give you technical tests and stuff like that. So sometimes it works that way. So really, you just need, no matter the country that you are in, for me now, I work with Microsoft and I got a job from Nigeria, and all my teammates or my colleagues are not in Nigeria. So the major thing is that at the point there was a focus. I was in Nigeria, I was just doing my job. I was doing the things that I love to do. So are there jobs? Yes, there are always jobs. Sincerely, there are always jobs. It's just the question of location and experience. If you can know how to maneuver location and experience, the job will always come in. Your job will always come in. I've forgotten your second question.
Okay, the first one was market opportunities.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's basically about market opportunities. And then because I think the first time we met was at Unilag 2019, just before the COVID. It was a Power BI conference. I think that was when Power BI was just started to gain wave in Nigeria. And one thing that I've seen, I've noticed about you is that you've been very active in community in terms of helping others and also being contributing to the growth of Power BI in Nigeria. I want to know how has that helped in shaping you, or giving back? How has that community, being part of the community, how has that helped your career development?
Okay, so now the real truth is that we understand everybody does not have the same opportunity that others do when it comes to information. And if you're able to get this information faster, I think it's good for you to be able to help others. And that is what bet the Global Power Platform bootcamp that we did in Unilag in 2020, February. And since then, we've been growing as much as possible to make sure that we have more people. I think now we have like 1,003 on the Telegram group, and we'll be doing a whole lot of stuff, continuing and trying to improve. I travel a lot to make sure that people who don't have access to information like Power Platform, Power BI, they should have that information. And at least it opens their eyes to see what is possible and what is not possible. It makes them dream bigger if it is possible. If that is what I'm going to use, it gives them opportunity to dream bigger. Now, when it now comes to how does it help my career? Yes, it has helped my career because a whole lot of time I get questions about, oh, I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to do this. One of those reasons helped me create my YouTube channel. And I created my YouTube channel just because, when people ask me questions, I just, okay, wait, let me just convert it to a video. And I convert it to a video and I just drop it. So it helps me grow. It helps me to be technically sound. So it means that I always expect questions from the public when they want to do this. And sometimes, since it becomes repetitive of something, I can just send my YouTube channel to them, and most of the answers might just be there for them. And I've seen that a whole lot of time. So for me, giving back helps you improve personally. And that is one big problem that we have. I think maybe in Nigeria, we don't like sharing information. Sharing information, for me, I don't see it as a problem. It only becomes a problem when maybe people don't value it, and or people say bad things about it. But when you give back, you expect people to say, oh, I value what you've done. I value what you've done. And for me, that is one of the big things about community. Communities are about helping people, just about helping people, so that one day the people that we've helped will help other people. So let me give you another story. We did a Power Platform bootcamp in Edo State in May for 5 days. And right now, which is May to now, is just like 3-4 months. And two of the 60 people that they just got new into Power Platform, they have jobs. They've gotten jobs as Power Platform developers. So my only advice to them is that you guys pay it forward. So anytime I do community, it's just for one person. I used to say it everywhere I go. This talk I'm doing now is just for one person. I want whereby in the next 3 years, somebody will say, oh, it was because I came to this program on Zoom or on YouTube is the reason that changed my life. Simple. There was a bootcamp that changed my life. I did it in 2019 in January. It changed my life to what I am today. Everything that you see me, my international speaking engagement, my international recognition, Nigeria recognition, everything I have today was a bootcamp that changed my life. And I have always tried to pay it back. So when we try to pay it back, we tell people that, see, when you're able to get what you want, please pay it back. That is just what community is about.
Okay, thank you. People online, I hope you listened to what David has said. So in this, one thing that I'll just add is that for you to grow in tech, you can't do it alone. Because I remember when I started out, I used to be this one man mopo, as Nigeria will call it. I don't like association, but I know I was struggling in a lot because there were information that was not accessible to me. And all of a sudden, I just find out that my colleagues these guys were just moving. And I come to realize that the reason why these guys are moving so fast is because they are part of something that I'm not. So it is very important for you to be part of a community. If you're in tech, it is very important because these are the place where you get all the necessary information that you want. Okay? It's a different thing for you to go on YouTube to get material. It's a different thing for you to have people who will always be there. In terms of job, because I mean, there are communities that I belong to, jobs opportunities are every now and then, you always see somebody dropping something. But if you are not part of those communities, you just learn Power BI, and after a while, you are fed up because money. The joy of this thing is at the end of the day, the reward for it is money. Okay, yeah. So I'll just add. I just add this to what David has said, that it is important for you to be part of a community. So yeah, David. So I mean, your appointment as a global cloud advocate in Power BI. And you've been doing a lot of traveling within Nigeria and speaking outside. I mean, it's global. So you can be called in any part of the world. How has that experience been?
It has been cool. I just started like 3 months, so I think it has been cool. We've not done a lot, really. I've not done a lot. There's so many things in the pipeline. I've not done a lot. But the major thing for me as a cloud advocate in Microsoft is impact. We want people to be impacted. We want people to tell the story of Power BI that changed their life. That is just it. We want people to say, oh, Power BI changed my life. We want people who have used 20 years doing something else and they just fall in love with Power BI and it changed everything. Or Power Platform, it just changed everything. For us, that is the goal. And that is why I love what I do. Because for me, it's just me telling them that, see, Power BI changed me. It changed my life. And I want whereby Power BI can change your life. Power Platform as a whole can change your life. And that is the goal for us. And that is just why I do what I do. So if it means me traveling to the end of the world to do that, I just love it. And I love traveling, really. So it's cool.
Everybody loves traveling.
No. I think, I have friends that hate traveling. Like, they hate it. I have friends that does that. They don't like traveling.
They can send their tickets, especially when they all expensive pay trip. Okay, so someone was asking a question about getting remote job. One of the audience, the opportunities for getting a remote job. So what would be your advice? So he said, I think the question is, let me phrase it, are there opportunities for remote okay, I think he said, are there opportunities for some remote working as a data analyst?
Yes. I think Fiverr, Upwork, they do all those stuff, those remote works. They do all those ones. Another thing is, see, you need to understand location in all these things. Location determines. There are some jobs that you have to go and meet it. There are some jobs that can meet you. You just need to understand, okay, can data analysts come and meet me? Or I have to go. There are some jobs that if you are around USA, it's easy for you to get remote. You are just in USA, so it's easy. They'll just say, oh, remote. But immediately you say you are African or you're in Nigeria, don't give you that job. So you need to understand the place of location in this whole career thing. If you understand that, then every other thing. And again, relationship, community, relationship. Some people, they might be able to give you the job just because you create a relationship with somebody else. So it's more of referral. So they trust you because they've seen your work, even though you're in Nigeria, and they can give you a remote job. So you just have to be able to create those relationships. How do you create relationship? Twitter, LinkedIn, anyhow, go for community. And again, I wanted to add something about community. See, you don't just join community because you want to gain the best. Oh, I want to get a job. That's why I'm joining community. You might not get the job. You join community because you want to be part of a community. Community is about give and take. I have so many communities. There's a community I am in that is not even Power BI related. It's not at all. So you join community for so many things. Everything are interconnected. It's just not because, oh, I want to become a software engineer, so I have to join only software. Sometimes it might be you are joining a finance club. It might be you are joining any other type of professions. And when you join, maybe they now have the company they are in are recruiting for a software engineer, and they know that person and they know how to get you in. You just need to understand that joining community is about you giving and taking. Give and take. What can you offer? People believe they can't offer anything. No, you can offer something. You can even offer your time. As worst case scenario, you offer your time for people. You offer your time for people. So at their jobs, yes, just understand the place of location, understand the place of relationship. I was speaking to a community last week, Sunday, and I said, see, the place of relationship in your career is bigger than the place of skills. You can be skillful, and if you don't have relationship, you might just be skillful and you will not get it anywhere. My journey as a data analyst is just 4 years old. Just 4 years old. And should I tell you, 4 years ago, I was earning 50K. 50,000 naira. That's what I was earning. 4 years ago, I was earning 50,000 naira. And now I earn more than times 20 of that money. So in 4 years. So you just have to understand the place of skills and the place of relationship. If you can understand those two, every other thing will work. And understand location. Can I get the job in Nigeria, or can I get? And sometimes everybody say, "Oh, I want to earn dollar." No, it doesn't work without to earn dollar. Those people who earn dollar, they have 10 years experience. They have 15 years experience. It's only when you want to become a product designer or something. If you're a software engineer, senior software engineer, they have years of experience, just not 2 years of experience, not 3 years of experience. They've done a whole lot of stuff. So there's a place of experience that people want to forget. They just want to just jump into senior role. It doesn't work that way. Me, I'm not even senior. I'm not a senior data analyst. I'm still mid-level. So I know a place of process. I know a place of process. So everybody forgets that place of process and you just want to jump. If you want to do a remote, why start with remote? Why can't you just go to a company and start a normal job, a 50K job, an 100K job? You start from there. Everybody, if you know why will I get an 100K job, if you're finished from university, I should get better. It doesn't work that way. I'm sorry. There's a place of process. So can people get 200K job immediately after university? Yes, banks pay more than that. Can you get 300K? Well, I don't know. But as a data analyst, everybody is now data analyst, sincerely. So it's not really about even you go to LinkedIn, you see people creating Power BI report every day. But you have to find a way to show yourself better than every other person. And relationship is bigger for that. Because when you build relationship with people, then it's easy. It's so easy for you to get into it. And it takes time too. It always takes time. Yeah. Yeah, Joseph.
I believe this has been very, very insightful. So the people online, I believe you've learned a lot. I believe you've learned a lot. So this will help you in creating a very good learning pathways. Okay. It's very important because I've seen people that you just started learning Excel, you've not even mastered Power BI. The next thing is you want a remote gig. So it doesn't work that way. So I think one of the advice someone told me was, start from Nigeria first. start from Nigeria, have like at least 2 years experience, because people remote, I mean, they are looking for me before you can start earning dollars, right? It has to be exchanged for values.
See, one thing is, I agree with you what you said, Joseph. So it's not about remote and one thing is remote is not about even your skill. There's so many other things, communication, teamwork, there's so many other things, even time. Like you need to have a meeting with somebody by his own time is 8 a.m. How do you understand my own time? How do you understand time zones? How do you understand place of communication? How do you understand place of productivity? Because you can't say you want to do remote because you want to do remote. It doesn't work. A whole lot of people just say, oh, I want remote work. You want remote work for why? Can you meet deadlines? There's so many things that you have to do. And a whole lot of people, they fail in that aspect. And one thing my former boss used to say, says that hard skill is easy to learn. Data analysis, Power BI, Excel, software engineering, they are so easy to learn. But do you know those soft skills? They are the real hard skills that people don't know how to learn. They don't teach you. They can't teach you time management. You have to understand time management yourself. They can't teach you how to say, oh, this is my top priority for today. They don't teach you that. They don't teach you how to come up with ideas for yourself, for the company. They don't teach you that. People just think, oh, data analysis is just open laptop, open the data and start analyzing. Work generally is just not that at all. It's not like that. There's project management. There's so many things. There's you understanding even the place of communication online. So Outlook has its own way of communication. How do you communicate professionally? People don't. There's so many things involved in career as a whole. Not just I want to do a remote. Can you do remote? Yes, you can. But there's so many things generally about it. Soft skills, hard skills that people just believe, oh, I just need to learn my hard skills. It just doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way.
David, thank you so much. But one thing I want to ask, what is your motivation aside from making money?
Money is the first motivation. The second motivation is impact, actually. Is impact. See, I know where I grew up from. If anybody that is on the YouTube call right now, I grew up from Yanokwaja. And I'm working in Microsoft right now. If you know Yanokwaja, definitely you know how I grew up. So for me, it's about impact. It's about telling people that you can make it. It just will take time. You can make it. It just will just take time. And don't look at people's time with your own time. No, everybody have their own part, but you will make it. I am so sure of that. I am so very sure. If wherever you are in the world, India, Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, just tell yourself, you will make it. No matter the situation, you will make it. It's just for you to just take time and study. Take time and learn. Take time. Just take time. That is just it.
So what will be your advice to the people that are coming in?
So focus, determination, and discipline. Really, no matter the skills you have, if you're not focused, if you're not determined, if you're not disciplined, it won't. Let me give you one story before I go off. You remember in 2018, I told you I was learning Excel. 2018. Should I tell you what I didn't tell you? I didn't tell you that it is an online course. I told you it's an online course, Coursera. I didn't tell you that I don't have money for data. I didn't tell you that in the 50,000 naira, that is my salary, I save like half of it so that for 4 or 5 months, so I can go and buy a laptop. I didn't tell you that I will go from Yanokwaja to Ikoyi. I'll carry my one week clothes bag and I'll get to Ikoyi. Then if I want to bathe in the morning, I'll go to the security post to bathe before I will resume work. So my boss did not know that I not go to the house yesterday. So when 4 o'clock is and he goes home, I stay back and learn. In the morning by 6 o'clock, I sleep on the decks. In the morning by 6 o'clock, I'll go and meet the security guy and say, I beg, I want to bathe. When I bathe, I wear my clothes in the office and I resume office for 8 o'clock. I didn't tell you that. I didn't tell you that. There's so many hidden things I didn't tell you. But just know one thing is that your dreams are valid, but it take you 3 things: your focus, your determination, and your discipline. If you are not ready to put in the work, don't ready to get the gain. You won't get the gain. You won't. If you are not ready to put in the work, just forget it. Don't come in. Don't come in. Just don't come in. If you are not ready to put in the work, it is the work. Whatever you see today, whatever any speaker has told you, will tell you today, in the next 2-3 hours, they put in a lot of work, a whole lot of hidden work that you will not know. So the only thing you see on social media is the flights, is the plane, is the good stories. We will never tell you the hidden stories. But I've told you one part of my hidden story. Just understand that it will take you discipline, it will take you focus, and it will take you determination. If you're not ready to put in those 3 things, don't worry about coming into any career path.
I mean, thank you so much. This is very, I mean, this last part is very deep. When are you writing your book?
We'll try. We're not in our shot. Not now at all. We are
Okay.
still learning.
Yes, but I mean, so you know, sometimes people can get the wrong picture because you see somebody shining, you don't know the rough part of that person, and because when I have conversation with people, one thing that they do tell me is, should we take is where the money is coming? Let us to get into it. Well, I mean, you don't know. So my question is, can you do 4 hours of sleepless nights? Can you sit down for 8 hours to study? Okay. I mean, can you study when nobody is there to supervise you? So these are some of the things that these are some of the disciplines that you see when people put into it. And by the time they are seeing them, maybe they are getting high pay or they are called to speak somewhere, you don't just understand, you think it happens overnight. Well, thank you so much, David, for, I know you are a very busy man. You have speaking engagements again. Well, surely we would like to have this conversation again some other time. So I'll just allow you to go. So if you want to follow, David is on, I think he's very active on LinkedIn and Twitter. For those of you that are in Nigeria, sorry, if you can do the other way. For people outside, you can follow him on Twitter. I'll drop his social media handle so you can check him up, and then you always post opportunities related to Microsoft and Power BI, so you can catch up with him on social media. So thank you so much, David. It was a pleasure having you on board.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. So thank you so much, our online audience. Without wasting too much of our time, I'd like to bring in the next speaker. Hello, Mr. Henry.
Hi, Roland. Hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you. Please, can you put on your camera?
Very well, yes.
Oh, okay. So it has been, I think, another, we've had like 20 minutes of conversation, and I am happy to bring Henry on board. So this is someone that I know, and I know the level of experience that he has. He's a close friend of mine. He's someone that I always do go to whenever I have issues. Okay, so Henry is the Chief Technology Officer at Dell York Group. So for some of us in Nigeria, we know what Dell York is, and we know the kind of work that they do. I mean, Mr. Henry is very vast in experience, enterprise software development. He has worked with both local and international Fortune 500 companies. So there was a reason why I wanted to bring him on board. So he will be speaking to people who want to navigate their path in software development, especially for web development. So, boss, thank you for coming on board. How's your day been?
The day has been rewarding. I just came from gym. I said, okay, fine. Let me do this.
Well, it's not visible.
Oh well, it is not visible. Well, I'm sitting here, man. I can tell it from within me, bro.
Okay.
It's a pleasure.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, how has the journey been as a software engineer?
Okay. I am going to start from where David left off. I love what he said. I think that was his closing remarks. The passion, dedication, and hard work. The journey so far has been very rewarding, but is not one without its own attendant challenges. But hey, for the guys who are coming on board, it is a very exciting journey because I think it's one thing that makes you really look like God in its sense of it. Now, come to think of it, you are able to conceptualize something and then you are able to bring it to life. That itself is the satisfaction of being able to conceptualize something that exists in the abstract form. You are able to bring it to life in real form, and it's solving and it's meeting a need, either business need or whatever need. That is first and foremost the reward and the satisfaction I get. So it is very, very interesting journey. Yet it has its own attendant challenges, but notwithstanding, it's been very exciting. I will not bore anybody with the back work. That time will come. But yes, it's been very exciting.
Okay, so I know you and I have had this conversation before. I mean, you got into software development when there was no market for software engineering.
Yes.
Back
okay.
then.
Yes.
So I mean, to you, what was the motivation? Because it wasn't money at that point, because there was no money, there was no market.
Okay. Quite frankly, in my third year, I wasn't sure. Even though I studied computer science, I was studying computer science at the time. I wasn't sure what path to toll. Now, in one of our seminars, I was opportune to interview one of the doctors in our department. And so in the course of conversation with him, he said something about, he said, to be honest with you, like I always tell my students, when he said that, like I always tell my students, that the university cannot give you up to 60% of what you need as a computer science student to be employable out there. That thing struck a chord in me and set me thinking as to what will become of me after having spent minimum of 4 years in the university. I am going to come out without the required skill sets to be employable. That was the beginning of the journey. So before then, I had tried my hands on Oracle, DBA. I did Oracle, I did CCNA. There was no such excitement for me because sometimes you just get to a point where you just see, oh, okay, this is all there is to this. Where can I have flexibility of being able to create my ideas, bring my ideas to bear, create things that will meet needs? That was when, okay, to start with, I wasn't the best in my class and I hardly passed programming courses at the time. So excited. Yes, I was the best. So programmers, in case you are not a computer science student, do not feel as if you are disadvantaged. Yeah, it has some elements of of advantages, but in all honesty, in my third year, I was still struggling with passing my core computer courses, programming courses. I don't want to blame the excuse on the lecturers, but I just feel sometimes I felt the programming is for the brilliant minds, the nerds. So at the time, so I began to do research as to what I could do differently to actually have some skills. And then to make the matter worse, in our final year, first semester in our final year, our lecturer said, you are going to be writing softwares all by yourself. And so you are not going to give it out to anybody. You are not going to contract it out. You must do your software. At that point in time, I began to think of my life on how funny it will look if I'm not able to create a basic software as a project. That set me into making some researches, and eventually, long story short, I got someone from a cyber cafe who offered to teach me 3 weeks. No, 6 days in 3 weeks, meaning Saturday, Sunday for that week, weekends for 6 days at a very huge sum. The amount I do not have. Trust me, what he called was more than my semester's tuition. I didn't know how to go about it, but I was determined that I was going to learn something. Eventually, I got the money. God provided it miraculously, and I paid him. He came to my house for 3 weekends, Sundays, Saturdays, Sundays, and Saturdays. That was the beginning of my journey into software development. By the time we were done, I could pick bits and pieces from whatever he had taught me, and I began to do extensive research on it. From that experience, I built my project, and then I began to see the possibility of building projects for all other of my classmates. And I did. At the time, I built up to 15 projects, final year projects. And then, and each time I was rewarded. So that actually set me into it. So partly money motivated me at some point. but yeah, it wasn't the main motivation. So the moment I started getting reward for it, I knew that there was much more I could do to improve on whatever I was doing. That was how the journey began. I had gone out, I traveled out solely for training. I still do online training, I still do online courses, take online courses even as we speak, and is a one of continuous learning and unlearning. So yes, that has been the story of my programming life or software development life.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I think stories like this are usually motivations for other people out there, right? Because I know the early days. I know I know the early days of technology. I know how difficult it was for you to get for people to get information. Because yes. I for myself, I remember how far I used to travel then. I think just going to where I was learning, then I think it was about 1 hour, 30 minutes. And I wasn't paid. So it was a bit of challenge. And then YouTube was not available back then. So the only day I can get information is when I go to where I do get my information. So so stories like this is a motivation for someone. So in case if you are just coming in and then you are going through this similar experience, you are not alone.
You're not alone.
You're not
yes,
alone.
And I also failed to add, now, after my graduation, I volunteered to train almost all the students in the university. Now, there was a major training seminar that I had, and so I was one of those who volunteered to teach them programming. I wasn't so good at the time, but that experience also made me better. So volunteering also helped to shaping some of the concepts I had, and it was a very rewarding one in terms of the experience and the knowledge.
Was there any point where, at any point of your career where you work for free?
Yes. Yeah, I do a lot for free, and sometimes in the bid to, okay, I think out of passion, in my head, I create an imaginary problem. For example, when I started doing programming, there was no job that was forthcoming. I saw the neighborhood hotel in the motel around, and I thought, okay, why can't you create an hotel reservations management software for these guys? Went there, surveyed it, did the hotel reservation, share with them. They look at you and say, yes, good. We'll get back to you. They never did. In fact, there are those who you work for, they don't get to pay. Now, I'd worked for my lecturer who will in turn collect the money and don't give me a dime. But I wasn't bothered about that because for me, I want to have something that is online to which I can refer people to, oh, I was part of the team that built this. I was part of the team that built that. That was the beginning of when I started to create my portfolio. So yes, at some point I had to work for free to get the portfolio, a richer portfolio, because as an entry level, after you have learned and you do not have projects that are live online, that can also be a challenge. People want to see what you have done. They want to look at it before they can trust you with stuff. And sometimes it's not enough to say, okay, I have it on a test server. How many people are using it? I'm not saying having your project on test server is not good. I'm saying there is a level you also need to get to where you need to now be referring to projects you have online that are actively in use. That also boosts your portfolio. Yes, to answer your question, I did work for free at some point. I have built several church websites, all to just to gain the experience, nothing more than that.
Okay.
At that time, do I need money? Yes, but that wasn't the focus. Because I knew if I got better, and more other opportunities will come.
So at this point in your career as a software professional, do you feel fulfilled?
Okay, fulfillment is relative. Looking back at the journey, I feel very fulfilled and grateful to God. But fulfillment in its entirety, I would say no, not yet. Not yet, in the sense that when you look at the people that are ahead, Facebook was started by one man. Today, it has become an enterprise that is a giant. So when you look at people like that, then you might need to be very careful how you want to define your fulfillment. Yes, that is on one side. Now, yes, there's also a part of fulfillment that comes with being able to create something that is useful to a business or to someone. That bit of fulfillment, yes, I have, especially so when the feedback is, thank you so much for being able to meet this problem or meet this need for us. As a company, we are grateful. That itself is very fulfilling.
Oh, okay. So what as a software engineer, what has been your challenges?
Okay, the greatest challenge as a software engineer is having to keep up with the technologies that are constantly changing. No doubt, software engineering as a career is one that is skill and knowledge driven. So what you learned yesterday, if you are not careful, before you are done learning, it is already obsolete. And so it's very important that you keep an open mind and be up to date with tools that are in use. In this case, web technologies that are in use. And as much as possible, be conversant with them so you are not left behind. So many programmers have been left behind a long time ago because they are still bent on the old ways of doing things, and technology has gotten past that. So yes, that is one of the greatest challenges. Another challenge is having to meet the expectation of clients. Trust me, some clients can be very, very demanding and unrealistic in their demand. So that also is an issue. So these are the major challenges that most software developers face. Of course, realistic demand could be in time of delivery. It could be expectation. So those are some of the challenges that we face, or
So
I have faced.
how do you handle, because you just talked about customers now, because I know
Yes.
there's some customers that I mean, I don't know what word to use, but you so when you meet people like that, how do you handle them? Because we are looking at people who are, so this is an onboarding session for some people who wants to become maybe a web developer, right?
Yeah,
So they're
yeah.
trying to grow their career, and when you are just coming into the field newly, you can take up, I mean, projects that have no direction.
Okay.
So what would be your advice?
My guys, frankly speaking, number one thing you must never do is to overpromise.
Oh, yeah.
Do not overpromise in the bid to get the job. This is not like campaign, where you can promise everything and not even do any. If you promise, you have to deliver.
Yes.
that is one thing you must,
especially when money is involved.
Especially when money is involved. And then another very important thing is to always have a scope. Now, when the clients come with a brief, ensure to understand the brief. Interpret it the way you understand it. Share it with your client again in your own ways. This is what you want me to do, A, B, C, and D from your brief. This is what I understand. Please, can you confirm this is it? If you are able to sign off on that, you are on the verge of being in the safe zone. Because tomorrow, if he or she comes up to say, you know what, I wanted this, I wanted that, I said no, but I was very clear in my specification from what I understood from your brief. I outlined 1, 2, 3 as the features that will come on this and that, and you sign off on it. There might not be ways to accommodate this. Even if it is possible to accommodate any requirement, any change, it will not be left for you to decide whether you want to charge extra for those requirements, or there are requirements you can accommodate without charging for. That is left for you. But always ensure you understand the brief, digest it, interpret it in the way you understand it. Validate that interpretation with your client. Get them to sign off on it. That is one way to handle this issue. If not, you're going to run into problems with clients. And that is number 2. Then number 3 thing is, now ask your clients which features are of importance, priority. Now you prioritize the features, and then you start from the most important feature. If registration, for example, is the most important feature, you know that you are going to be starting from registration. So you are going to be building while the application is already in use. You update, upgrade, and then you move in that direction. So those are ways we have been able to manage that effectively. And of course, there are also exceptions where whatever you do, they are not satisfied. Where you know that a project is beyond you, it is not wrong to say, guys, to call your client to a table and say, please, I cannot do this project. Humbly refund and have your peace. Where you need to refund, it is an honorable thing to do. I will not lie to you. I have done that a couple of times, and then we have peace. So those are the ways we handle some of these things.
Okay, interesting. So people, you beg, if you can't deliver on your promise, please refund.
Integrity is key.
Yeah, it's very important. It goes a long way. So you, I mean, in growing your career, I know you did a program in India.
Yes.
Right. So looking at the Nigerian context and India in terms of how has that like help you in leveling up your skill? What are the common challenges you see in Nigeria? Okay, for newbies. Okay, what are the common challenges you see in Nigeria, and then moving over to India, and how has that helped you to overcome those challenges in propelling your career?
Okay. First thing was, back then, every major IT department, every IT department in major companies in Nigeria were run by foreigners, expatriates. And most of whom are Indians. And the question at the back of my mind was, why is it always Indians running our IT department? There must be something these guys are doing differently that we are not doing. That was one of the reasons I went to India. And truthfully, in India, the moment a student is coming out of the college, the next thing they are looking at, even while in college, they are already doing some extramural classes. Java, whether you're a girl or guy, and sometimes they don't know it as much, but they want to have the understanding of Java, software development. You see the C++, and I'm like, wow, these guys can't speak English as such. But when it comes to concepts, understanding of concepts, they have it. And so the environment was very conducive and encouraging for them to thrive. Now, just look at online. Go online and look at tutorials, whether on Udemy, whether on YouTube, whether on plural sites. You will see a sizable number of Indian instructors on such platforms. What that tells me is those guys are investing heavily in knowledge as regards software development. And so when I got there, I was attending 2 different trainings. I had to pay for another academy to attend their training because I love the instructor, because he was coming from, one of the instructors was coming from the industry. So what I wanted to hear was was the language he was speaking. And the other one was more academic, but this was coming with I was able to come up with something very tangible. And yes, that helped me to clear so many doubts I had even in my university days. So many programming concepts were taught in the university. I did not understand. Maybe a few of my colleagues did understand, but I didn't understand some of them. And so when I got there, maybe it's because of lack of application of some of these concepts. When I got there, they were clearer because we're putting them to use, and then it was becoming very clear. And my confidence in software development was like tripled, because now I could say, oh yeah, I'm a software developer. Before then, I don't do testing. It was there I was introduced to certain tools, testing tools. For example, if you're doing Java, you know that unit testing, integration testing, these are very key testing you have to do as a software developer. So those were missing in all I was doing. So, and I was also introduced to certain frameworks that I never knew existed, and it broadened my knowledge. And so it was really an eye-opening journey.
Okay, so and then, I mean, it has been growing from there, because one thing that I've noticed about you is that, I mean, you are very disciplined, right? And
Yes.
you are very focused, because I know you have stick with web dev. I mean, you've stick with web technology for so long, right? And
Yes.
I mean, each time we have a discussion is always stick to this part. So because people are coming in, right? And very soon, some of them will be part of a community. And like, in community, you learn different things. Today, you're learning a new tool. Tomorrow, you're learning a new tool. In name of looking for a better opportunity. So what is your advice?
Okay. In fact, there's a saying, right? That if you, okay, I don't know how to put it in English, but I cannot speak Yoruba also, because I'm sure there are diverse communities here too. So, but there's something about being focused. It gives you the ability to gain mastery of that particular subject. Where you are focusing on too many things, chances are you will not be able to gain mastery of any. Becoming a jack of all trades is not my ideal way of want to work. Don't forget, at a certain level, all programming languages are the same. For loop you have heard in Java is the same in Python, is the same in Node.js, is the same in Ruby on Rails, is the same in PHP. What you need to do as a developer is to first and foremost understand these constructs, the concepts of programming language. Understand it very, very well. The moment you understand it, you can pick on any tool, any programming language, any web technology. You master it in no time. But where, oh, this one is the raining thing, you jump. When you have not even mastered any, it becomes an issue. I started off with PHP. I was doing well with PHP, forming like a guru in PHP. I suddenly realized that most enterprise softwares were not built on PHP. Some are, but some are not. And then the demand for PHP at some time was dwindling. And so there's need for you to quickly look at a few other things. And so that was when I started learning other tools. Yes, web is, I do not think, especially in this CLINE, Nigeria, most softwares are web-based. Only a few softwares are actually not web-based. I could actually do softwares with Java that are not web-based, but they are not so much in demand. Now, times have changed. We are talking about software as a service. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, software as a service, where you build one software and millions of people subscribe to it, just single software. And then everybody will use it as though each one has a copy of the software. Those are the model that we currently are having. These are not models that are possible with some of the non-web-based softwares. So that is why my focus is on web technologies, because I know it has come to stay. The more interconnected we are, the more we want to seek ways to communicate, share information, solve our problems. And so this is only possible. At the core of this is the web, the World Wide Web. And so that is why I have been so focused. And yes, for everyone out there seeking to enter, first, what you need to do is to understand that you need an entry point. Find your strengths. Are you one that is driven towards beauty on the front end? Maybe you are more likely to be at the entry level, a front-end developer. Are you one that want to create back-end application? You want to do the dirty job on the back end? Maybe you are more likely to be a back-end developer. And in some cases, you might be a full stack. So where you can function both on the front end and at the back end. If that is your goal, focus on it. Pick one programming language that you are most comfortable with. Get into the market with it. When you get there, trust me, demand will force you to learn new tools. Demand might come from your workplace where a new project is introduced. And you just suddenly realize that your skill set might not be able to, or the stack you use in the office. I mean, the stack means the technology that is in use currently in the office might not be able to do that job or execute it. And so there's need for you to do another. You will automatically want to start learning and researching. And that's how you grow from one level to another. But first, pick one, gain mastery of it, use that as an entry point to launch your career. Then you can become whatever you want to be.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Henry. So yeah, because I know PHP drives about 60% of applications.
Yes.
And I know I think the last 2 years, PHP were not like doing so much. So there was a lot of noise around that PHP is going to become obsolete very, very soon. Well, I think with the latest update of PHP 8, so there's life to it. I mean, for people who have been using PHP for a while, which is now difficult for them to switch to another tech stacks. But my question where I'm going to is, what is because in Nigeria now, right? Because yes. we know. Let's not talk about cloud and other advanced technology too, like talking about machine learning and AI and all that. Let's look at web-based, because that is the demand. That's the market there's a market for when it comes to web application and all that. But for someone that is learning, what should be because this is location-based now, right? This is location-based. So if you are picking up a technology, you need to pick up a technology where you know there's a demand for the skill that you are learning. So as a pro with over 10 years of experience, what will you advise? What should be the learning path, or what technology stack or tool should you advise the students to focus on?
Okay. Server-side technology is very, very important, as well as front-end technology. Yes, I'm going to answer these questions location-based. Number one, if you're in Nigeria, trust me, whether you like it or not, PHP developers are in demand in Nigeria. There are too many websites that are built. WordPress is one de facto people in Nigeria, not just in Nigeria alone, but I'm just restricting that to Nigeria. And so if you're in Nigeria, I think you should be looking at that sphere. If you feel, okay, I am not coming from that perspective, maybe you should start looking at Node. Node is also a server, it's JavaScript. You can also use Node to create backend. But if I'm going to advise you, two programming language you need to learn. One is PHP, if you're in Nigeria. If you're in India, it is Java. If you're in Europe, if you're in the US, it is Python. Python is rated #1 in the US. If you're in some part of Europe, most part of Europe, they are big on Ruby on Rails and PHP. So it depends on the location you are. But for Nigerian, yes, I know there are startups. There are startups now coming who are, especially fintech, who want you to, when they say you're a full stack, it means that you can do React and Node.js. That is also thriving, but not as much as PHP, because there are tons of legacy applications that are built with PHP. And of course, because it's economical, people don't want to spend so much building their website, building their application. Hosting is a factor. So these are some of the things now with Ugo Host in Nigeria, where you can host as low as 3,900 Naira. People want to do it very quickly and have their presence online. If that is what you are looking at, yeah, I would advise you to start looking at PHP, and then you grow to learn some other software, other programming languages. If you're in India and you are looking at the Indian and Middle East market, Java is heavy there. And if you are doing Java, once you're done with your core Java, please, you have to learn Spring framework. And two very important modules you must learn in Spring framework: one, Spring MVC, and then Spring Boot. Then before you talk about the Spring Security, JPA. So those are very, 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 very important frameworks that you need to learn if you are going in the path of Java. You can also decide that you want to pursue it irrespective of the location you are. You can decide that you want to pursue a career in certain programming language. I want to focus on Java, irrespective of the fact that I am in Nigeria. Yes, there's still so much available. Now, you do not need to travel to get employment. LinkedIn is big. It will amaze you the number of people that are looking at your CV on a daily basis. You get calls, you get messages, scheduling interviews for you that you did not even bargain from tech companies. I can't remember, I've gotten interview with Amazon, call with, what's the name? What's the name of this call? EPAM. Companies seeking to even pay all your expenses and relocate you. So all you need to understand in all of this is whichever tool you have chosen, ensure to grasp it to its fullest. You become an authority in that area. The sky is your limit.
Thank you so much. Thank you, boss, thank you for the information shared. And I believe the people online, you've listened to all that Mr. Henry has said. Okay, so it is left for you to do your own work, okay, to play your own part. The good thing is, in the field of IT, there's opportunity for everybody.
Absolutely.
Right. So whether you're a product designer, you are a back-end engineer, you're a front-end engineer, even if you are doing graphics, if you are just creating static image, right, there's a market, okay? And tech is here and it has come to stay, right? So there's no point for you to navigate around. Today you are learning web, next tomorrow you want to learn mobile app development because someone promised you something somewhere. So because you can be around that cycle for a very long time and not get somewhere.
Yes.
Okay.
So true.
So do you have a final advice before you jump off the call?
My final advice is very simple. Guys, we cannot overemphasize the need for discipline, the need for hard work, and the need for you to self-motivate yourself to learn. You must burn the midnight candle. Burning the midnight candle does not end in school. As long as you are going to find your feet, if you have decided that you will find your feet in software development, you must be ready to pay the price. And it is that you have to learn on a daily basis. It is not scary. It is very, very interesting. It is demanding, yes. It is stressful, yes. But if you are able to master any tool, you become an authority, you become a sought after, you lead team, you are part of team, you get paid, you are richer, you can take care of your needs, and you can also support others, as many as are your dependents. So it's a very rewarding, but opportunities are limitless, but it is only available for those who can utilize them. Trust me, you can be called for an interview and promise heaven and earth. But when you go through the test, you might be screened out for lack of skills or communication. So you must understand that what makes a good software developer, there are tons of things that make them. One is your communication is key. You must have a good attitude. Are you such that when they give you money, the moment money gets to your hand, you promise to deliver, you never deliver. Product success should be your focus. You must have good attitude. Number two thing you must also understand that is you must learn to manage tasks and time. It's very, very important. Give priority to time, manage your tasks, break them down in a way that helps you to move from one place to another. You must also be a team player. It's not just enough for you to code alone or build softwares alone. You are going to be building with other developers. You code with best practices. Ensure to comment. Ensure to also help others in your team who are struggling. So a team is as strong as its weakest point, they say. A chain is as strong as its weakest point. If a team fails because of one person and you are part of that team and you have completed your tasks, you are as good as a failure because somebody within your team fails. So learn to take all other people up as you learn in this process. Learn together, build together, and you'll be better off. Be a team player. God bless you guys.
Thank you so much, boss. Thank you for being part of this. We really appreciate you and for all that you do in the community.
Thank you so much, bro.
All right.
So,
bye.
Bye, bro.
So, okay, so we will be introducing our next speaker for today. So our next line of speaker is Daniel Goubuike. I hope I pronounced that correctly. So he's a black man, but a white man. So Daniel is, is very experienced, and his CV is quite enormous. I don't know where to start from and where to end. He's a renowned IT infrastructure expert, a consultant, and also a cloud coach. He's a Microsoft certified trainer. He has worked with various telecommunications company in Nigeria. I think he started his career as an IT officer at Wema Bank and working as a Windows Server administrator. And then after so many years, he joined MTN Nigeria as Windows specialist. So at the moment, he's working at CLINE Mobile as I think Windows team infrastructure, Windows manager, right? Windows and server manager, team infrastructure. So I think I'll just give Daniel the opportunity to introduce himself properly. Hello, sir.
Hi, everyone. You've already done the introduction. I'm currently the manager of the Windows infrastructure team at CLINE Mobile. Well, all of the things you said are correct.
Okay.
Glad to be here. Yeah.
Thank you for joining us on the show. Hope you are doing good.
Very well.
Okay, so can we get to meet Daniel, how the journey started?
It's a very long, very long journey. So when I finished my school, there was no work, you know, the situation of Nigeria. But I think also you have to filter what you hear. Yes, the narrative in Nigeria is there's no work in Nigeria, but I was determined that I was going to get a job, the kind of job I wanted. You know, I studied IT in school, but we never really practiced anything. So I learned the practicals of school. And I remember when I was so frustrated one day looking for a job, I walked into Microsoft office, Microsoft in Nigeria. And I was like, good afternoon. Like, oh, can I help you? I was like, yes, actually, I need a job. They say, we're not recruiting at the moment. I said, I know, but I want to ask about your Microsoft partners. And if you have any pointers and if you know anybody that wants to recruit. And that's when they introduced me to one of the companies I started working with as a contract staff in Boma Bank. And also, that was 8 years ago, started on 40K. Very funny. The narrative you hear everybody saying is, oh, look at how much we are paid, blah, blah, blah. And you have to shield yourself from those kind of conversations because it does something to you. It begins to give you the sense of entitlement. I was asked one of them I was like, look, when you came to this company, do you have any experience? He said, no. I said, okay, fine. So look at this as an opportunity to learn and get paid. Because if you go to NIIT or any of those New Horizons and you're learning what you're learning on the job now, you're going to pay for it. And you're like, oh, I didn't look at it. Exactly. And if you start to tell yourself that this man, or because it's a one-man company, this man cannot make me rich, you improve yourself to get out. So anyway, I improved myself, wrote certifications, and Boma Bank recognized me and poached me from the company. So that's how I became a full staff of Boma Bank, and the rest is history.
Okay. So, I mean, what made you choose the career path that you are doing at the moment? Well, were you just interested in IT, or I mean, there was a motivation?
Okay, I've always known that I was a technical person. So right from before I entered university, those days of CRT monitors, when they brought a sport monitor to my house, I was fiddling with it till I got it working. I learned Corel Draw. I started doing designs for my mom's brand and stuff. I always knew I wanted to do something around computer, but I didn't know. So the only course available that was close to that was, I think, electrical electronics. In my catchment area. Yeah, catchment area was a thing then. So I put it, but because I was not very strong in math, I was a bit worried. I was not 100% sure. I mean, I didn't want to come out with a third class or a pass. So I was not sure. Then there was this new course that came out in Futo, Information Management Technology, and I jumped on it. I think we're the second set. So yeah, I actually studied IT. So I've always known that I wanted to do IT, but I thought I would be on the network part because I was very crazy about networking. But when I began to do IT support, first level IT support, I just saw that Windows came natural to me. And yes, everybody in IT should have some sort of networking background because it will make your job a lot easier, especially when you're working with the operations team. My networking background helps me a lot, especially as an IT officer, because I could relate with the networking guys on a level they were not used to, you know. So, and getting into Windows too, it was also easy for me because I already had a solid background in IT. So part of the reason I chose cyber administration as a career path was because Windows just came natural to me, and I began to have a bias for Microsoft because they tend to make things very easy for you. It's intuitive for me, maybe not for other people, but it comes very intuitive to me. So yeah, then from server administration into cloud, because they are very related.
Okay, so I mean, because you are in the cloud domain, and today you'll be speaking, you are speaking to guys who wants to go into cloud computing, and then maybe some of them already they have a bit of what cloud is, and some don't know what cloud. So what is cloud technology?
Basically, cloud is being able to access your data over the internet. That's the basic definition of it. So you have different types of cloud models. You have hybrid, you have private cloud, you have public cloud, and you have the community cloud. The popular ones are the private and the public and the hybrid. Public are the guys like Amazon, Azure. Amazon started like 5 years ahead of the rest. So they've always had a head start. So the rest are just trying to catch up. And Azure is like the fastest growing cloud computing provider. So you have the hybrid. The hybrid has to do with, so basically, to appreciate the cloud domain, you have to backtrack to where we were. When I was a server administrator in Wema Bank, there were just two guys that were sound in Exchange. Exchange is Microsoft's emailing platform, yeah? And these two guys can never go and live at the same time. And they were like, you just hear people, oh, more, that the guy, they handle Exchange. They were the thing, you know? And almost every now and then you hear the server has coughed, we have to rush into the server room. Maybe there are some switches that have not been refreshed in a long time and you start it and the whole network is down, or power outage in the data center, or alarm. There was always one problem or the other. You're running just a service on a particular server and you need to scale. You have to shut down the server to add more RAM. It's just this, and then you have to have specialists to man the data center and to manage your resources in the data center. But with cloud, using something we can appreciate like Office 365, for example, software as a service, you do not need that. Now, the traditional method was you installing those apps on your desktop now. But right now, you do not need to do that. You can access all your applications on the go. You can install the Office suite if you want to, but you do not have to. You can access your application anywhere. There's data security, there's backup, there's recovery, there's everything. There's 99 it's actually 100%, but they always leave that one chance because you never know what will happen. So to call it 99.99%, so there's always availability. Talk about your workloads on the IaaS. So we have different types of cloud services. We have IaaS, infrastructure as a service. We have software as a service. We have platform as a service. So talking about the infrastructure side, we no longer have to worry about machines going down. I mean, you have enough redundancy to play around with and configure it however you want. You want to scale, you want to increase your resources, you can do it on the fly. So it's cheaper for organizations now. It's cheaper, it's more efficient. You do not have to overly depend on any IT resources. For example, if you're a small shop and you need emailing services, once you configure your application for the first time, I mean, there's really not much you should do anymore. As opposed to the traditional on-premise email platform where you had to have somebody almost night and day. We used to do standby, as far back, not really far back, in MTN before they moved to the cloud. It was standby night and day. So it was not easy, but with Office, you can sleep, So that's it.
So for someone looking to learn cloud, because I mean, cloud is broad, okay. We have different providers such as AWS, Azure, and GCP, which is Google Cloud. And then there's also DigitalOcean and Oracle. So two things you are looking at. One, we are looking at the market demand in content. So this is location based now. For instance, in context of Nigeria, okay. What is the starting point, right, for someone who is looking forward to start a career in tech, right? What is the learning path? Like, because I'm looking at the context of building a very strong foundation as a cloud engineer. Maybe you are going to do security, or you are going to work as a developer, right, or an administrator, right? What is the learning path? Like, what would you advise from your experience as a professional?
First of all, like I said, the advantage I had coming into IT and now being on, well, hybrid cloud right now that I'm working on, is that I had a very solid foundation in networking. Now, if you plan to work as a cloud engineer, whatever career path you choose as a cloud engineer, I think you would find out that you need networking. You need networking. Getting into IT, you should know IP addressing before you start, and subnetting. It shows its, well, not ugly head, but it shows its head everywhere you go. And if you don't understand it, you will have a difficult journey. So for a start, getting into IT, I will encourage you to learn networking. Learn networking very well. Then as regards to the Nigerian market, I'm not sure we are so big on AWS. I'm not sure why. So Microsoft, I think, has the market for cloud in Nigeria, because they have a lot of freebies. And while I was in the bank, even when we were still on-prem, things like virtualization, so as opposed to VMware virtualization, Microsoft was offering Hyper-V for free. So those sort of things, and then the ease of Microsoft, just forgive me, I have a bias for Microsoft. So Microsoft tends to make things a lot easier. But like I said, AWS had a head start in 2006. Microsoft only started in 2010. AWS has 33% of the market share globally. Microsoft has 19%, Google Cloud has 7%, and cumulatively they have over 50%. As you know, so if outside Nigeria, AWS is big outside Nigeria. But look, the truth of the matter is that whatever products you get into, and it's difficult to just stay on one product as an IT engineer or as a cloud engineer, because even things like virtualization, you find that I think what will help most people is looking at job descriptions that they post. You know, now is like when people want to hire, they want to hire a whole IT shop in just one person, which is not encouraging. But it's just good to expand your knowledge. Like I said, I'm a proper Microsoft guy, but it doesn't mean I just stay with Microsoft. I know Cisco, I know a bit of AWS as well. So, and a lot of companies do multi-cloud. So they will have Azure, they will have AWS. Some have three: AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud, which of course are the leading, you know, before you start even thinking about IBM or Alibaba and the rest. So getting into IT, back to the question, I will highly recommend, or getting into cloud specifically, I recommend you get training in networking. And a good way to start is by getting the CCNA certification. When you get the CCNA certification, you might even discover that, oh, networking is actually a thing for you. And with cloud, you can be a network cloud engineer. So the career path in cloud is enormous. You can be a network cloud engineer, you can be a cloud architect, you can be a DevOps engineer, which is basically the marriage of the developers and the operations guys. You can be a cloud administrator, which are just the general IT managers. You can be a product manager. So the opportunities in the cloud are enormous, and yeah, the average salary, just to put it out, the average salary of a cloud engineer is $100,000 in the United States, according to Glassdoor. So And then with remote working, you can actually land a job anywhere. Believe me, you can land a job anywhere. So yeah.
So what's the average salary for the Nigerian market for a cloud engineer?
So the answer to that question is tricky because I've been on some interviews before, and whenever they ask me for my last payslip and I refuse to provide it, it's not being arrogant. It's just I've come a long way. You've interviewed me, you've assessed my value. What are you doing my payslip? So what I always tell them is that, and especially when they try to negotiate based on my former payslip, I'll tell them, look, you cannot assess me based on my payslip, my last payslip, because I have worked hard to improve myself. You get, you want value. You're not recruiting me because of my last payslip. You're recruiting me because of my value. You know, and I always give this instance of Messi being the best player in the world at 18. And obviously, when you're the best player in the world, at the time he was, I think, the best paid in the world at a very young age. Nobody was looking at his last pay slip. They were looking at the value he was bringing to the team. And I always bring them back to that. That's what you should focus on. And I've turned out a number of them, you know, because the Nigerian market, it's almost like the HR team, they just want to is like get the best at the cheapest price. So I can't really put a figure to the average, but I think as you gain experience, you would demand more for your value, and it's up to you. You can demand more, but for entry level, I think depends on the company. If you're going to a bank, obviously you're going to fall into their grade level of entry level ETA. So if you're entry level, probably you'll be looking at 200,000 or 150,000 for some. If you're in telecoms, yeah, around that. But if you're in oil and gas, I think it's a little higher. So as you gain experience, you can determine your own pay. And the thing I like about IT, and one of the reasons that drove me into IT, is that before I wanted to do telecoms engineering, but I wanted a course that I could break out and stand on my own if I needed to. And I've done a lot of consultancy because I'm in IT. So there are some courses that you must always work for somebody. You must be an employee. And the truth matter that if you don't learn the business of what you do, you will always be a talent for hire, which is not a bad thing. But sometimes you need to make more. You need to make more. So that's why I do a lot of consultancy, and the joy that I get is seeing what I've deployed work. The joy I get I learn a lot from teaching. That's probably the reason I love teaching. I learn a lot from teaching, and then see people have pushed or prepped up for interviews, getting the job or excelling their job and coming back to say thank you. It's just like your work when you're doing a work and they tell you, oh, so and so something is down, so and so service is down, and you just type 1 or 2 commands and it's back up. That's the joy. And you see the appreciation on people's face and the value you're giving to them. It's priceless. I've deviated from the question, but the average salary of an entry level is, I think for entry level, you should keep an open mind, because most people in Nigeria come in with an entitlement mentality, even though they have nothing to offer. They know nothing, but they want the highest money. It doesn't work. It's a give and take. It's a give and take. What are you giving to get that kind of salary? You don't know anything and you're demanding for 800,000.
So
Yeah,
sorry
okay,
to
so
cut you. Sorry to
value
cut you.
again? Yeah.
Sorry to cut you short. What is entry level? Because I've seen. So the reason why I ask this question is because, to me, if you are saying you need an entry level, you are looking for someone who has a very minimal experience, right? Well, I've seen jobs that will say, okay, they're looking for an entry level engineer, but you must have 2 years or 3 years experience. So is that an entry level, or what is entry level?
So there are ways, and that's part of what I teach in my classes. There are ways to get into this, because getting in is always the hardest, especially if you're doing IT support and you're stuck in a rut doing IT support. And most of the IT supports in Nigeria is contracted. You know, there are ways around that. And I'll just share my story. I don't know how much time I have. I'll just share my story. So I was trying to get into server administration after doing 3 years in IT support. And it was very frustrating because nobody was willing to give you a chance. You know, so what I started doing was I stopped applying for IT support roles. First, I stopped applying for the entry level roles. So I started applying for server roles, and I started working a lot with the server team on ground and learning what they do. So I'll tell them, okay, if you're deploying a server today, please call me. And when there's a new server, because that time it was all about buying physical servers. So when they buy a physical server, I'll be the one to raid. So raid is like creating redundancy for your storage, for your internal storage. So I'll do the raiding, I'll do the networking, I'll do the OS installation. If it's a new Active Directory server, I'll prep it up or exchange, I'll do everything. So I was gaining experience, you know, but I needed more. So I had a lab. One time they were throwing away their servers in the bank. I told them to keep one for me. So that's where I prepped up my WDS server. WDS server is for pushing out images, right? So I installed Active Directory there, DNS, DHCP, and I was getting my experience, and I put it in my CV because I was not lying. It's what I'm doing. So I was using the WDS to deploy images. So with that, I gained experience in AD, I gained experience in DNS. In fact, at the time, I think when the DHCP server in the bank was for a particular floor was full, we were trying to do something and we were not getting any IPs. So I was telling the server guys that they should check it. Oh, it's not from their end. I was like, okay, could you at least check the lease and make sure, or the pool and make sure it's not filled up? And they checked. I'm like, wow. And that's when I began to get recognition, get respect. So what I did on my CV, I'll first put working knowledge of Active Directory, understanding of DHCP concept. So that's how I started. So when you put that thing and you apply for a job, you look at it, and I just put 1 or 2 things I've done, because I also had the chance to work in service desk. So I was creating users on Active Directory and stuff. So that's how I started attending interviews. In fact, the first interview I attended for this thing, they were just asked me what's FISMO. I heard about FISMO, but I noted all the questions in that interview, went back, rehearsed. The other interview I got to the last stage as an entry-level guy doing end user support. So for me, it's about drive. So that's the way to get in. So that's entry level for me. I always deviate. Roland, remind me how I got to where I am.
Because I mean, to me, because when you talk about entry, I'm looking at, okay, someone who has about maybe 6 months of experience, who wants to learn and then grow on the job. So that's the way I always see it. But
entry level for my division right now is somebody that just finished school, has done NYSC. You don't have any experience, but you are always applying and you're seeing 2 years experience is required. There are ways around it, you know. But the first thing is to learn the technology you're interested in, get certified, and apply for that job. Forget the 2 years experience. Find somebody that can craft your CV in such a way that you're not lying, because it's an integrity issue to put things that you can't defend on your CV. So find a way to craft it in a way that it's actually what you know that you're putting on your CV. And so there are 2 things: getting in the door for the interview and defending, and you get the job. You know, so entry level for me are people that are just coming from school, NYSC, or you're also doing maybe end user support and you're looking to enter maybe cloud or server. So that's still entry level for the server or for the cloud. So in that regard too, you're gonna have to look at writing server certifications or cloud certifications, and then start applying for those jobs. Start offering service for free. When I was looking desperately to get into the server or cloud, this thing, I was doing free gigs. Even on Upwork. I'll just apply and say, don't pay me, just for the experience. I'll follow people to sites that are contractors, get the experience, and each of those experiences were translating back into my CV. So yes, I did not have a formal, even though I didn't have any formal recruitment on server or cloud. I had experience from so if I hear somebody has a new business, the next thing I start asking, okay, you need email, you need this, and I start doing all those things, and just giving me broader experience, and that's what really helps me in my career.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you for your time and for the knowledge you shared so far. Really appreciate, and I believe the people online also they've taken one or two things, okay, to go with them. So this part now, I think by the time we're done with the technical training, this part, how to get into the entry level, I think we'll have to revisit it again. All right.
No problem.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Take care. Have a wonderful day.
All right. Thanks for the time. Bye.
Bye. Okay. So we'll be calling on our next speaker, and is the only lady on our list for today. So I was talking to some colleague after doing the first list of speakers, and they started questioning me that how come there's no lady in this there's no lady on this flyer, what's going on. So luckily Symbiat came around, and I was happy. So hello Symbiat. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, welcome. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Trust you are doing good.
Yeah, I'm okay. How about you?
I'm fine. So thank you for joining. And I believe the ladies online, so we've had guys, so this is the only lady. So that should create a lot of excitement in the room. So please let's meet Symbiat.
Okay, my name is Symbiat Sadiq. I'm currently project manager for digital security at CCHUB. Prior to that, I've worked with like a couple of organizations. I led the security operations team for the top financial institution in Nigeria. Prior to this role, I worked in a security operations center. I worked as a consultant, amongst others. But I think the one thing I like talking about most about me is this volunteering work I do. I'm very big fan of volunteering. I volunteer for an organization called Cybersecurity. So prior to today, we've worked on some activities around creating cybersecurity awareness called Nogo for Maga, and the end result was a storified cybersecurity awareness book for Africa. It's actually readily available online. And yes, I think that's it about me basically.
Oh, Cybersecurity is strictly for women, I believe.
No. It's an NGO that creates cybersecurity awareness and training amongst others.
Oh, okay. So I mean, what led to the field of cybersecurity? Because I think I was reading one of your article that was it was an interview that was shared with me by Habeeb. Okay, so please can you put more light to that?
I just find that question very interesting because, I mean, when I studied cybersecurity in school and it's in Nigeria, they're like, how? Nigerian cybersecurity. Okay, so, I mean, as we all know, right, after secondary school, you have to write JAM in Nigeria here and before you get into university. But, let's say, fortunately for me, because now it's actually like a fortunate incident, I didn't get admission at first attempt. And then before second attempt, I started to just work in a cyber cafe that was owned by basically a family friend. And yeah, in the process, someone comes in. I know now where it works, people come in and buy tickets for 30 minutes, 1 hour. And then there's this particular guy, right, that comes in and buys ticket for 30 minutes. And he keeps coming back every single day. And I'm like, are you going to buy extra ticket? And he's like, no, I still have extra time left. I became very curious. And I'm like, how is it possible? I mean, you come here, you on the system, at least I can see your system is on. And I mean, you can actually log into the system without putting it ticket time, right? So I became very curious, and I caught the attention of my boss, right? And I'm like, oh, I think something is not right, because this guy just bought like 30 minutes time, like last week, and he's here again like the same time. And she had this technical person that works for her. So she actually invited him, and well, that was how I discovered that there was this thing he was doing, right? He buys tickets, and when it's time for him to actually, once he logs in, he posts, like he just posts the time. So he just does whatever he wants to do. And I found it really interesting. So I just, out of curiosity as well, I just Googled it. And then I saw the first phrase I saw was hacking, right? And I'm like, oh, and I saw what hacking was about. I'm like, that's very interesting. And I mean, we continue working like regular work and stuff like that. Then when it was time for me to actually take the jam, so I was actually planning on going for like computer science. But then while I was just trying to make research of the course I was going to want to go for, then I came across cybersecurity as a course. And then after I went ahead to just make some research on what cybersecurity is about. I'm like, oh wow, cybersecurity. And I saw hacking again. I'm like, okay, this thing again is here. Maybe finally it's calling me. And then I think that was it basically. And voila, that was it. I applied. That was FET Mina. I applied cybersecurity. And yeah, I got into, that's basically how my journey started in cybersecurity.
What year was this?
That was sometimes in 2011, I used to 2012, basically, sometime in 2012.
Okay, and I mean, as a lady coming into that space, were there challenges at the initial stage?
I really don't think there was, right? Well, maybe I didn't feel like there was any, to be very honest, because maybe because I grew up mostly like amongst guys. And so, yes, there are a lot of like guys in, the majorly guys, right, in department and stuff like that. But no, getting into the field, no, there wasn't like any challenge, to be very honest. No, there wasn't getting into the field. No, there wasn't. I mean, I had like guys that, and people are actually very willing to help, assist, answer questions, and basically, so aside from the regular, school challenges, well, I won't say getting into this field in particular, there's like a particular challenge while in school.
Okay, so what has helped you in what has helped you to become a successful? What discipline has helped you in becoming a successful security analyst or security professional?
I think it's a blend of a lot, right? I just go back to, how I started, like mine was more like an educational background before a professional background, right? So while in school, we had like a lot of theoretical experiences, classes and stuff like that. And we had practical classes, right, at some point. And I think one of the things, right, that really, really helped me and a lot of us was we had to form this group, right, in school, and try to actually learn like concepts. So by concepts, I mean, there's like something very interesting that was taught in class. We talked about Wi-Fi cracking, and the next thing, we just have like the class, like maybe like 30 minutes to 1 hour, like every Friday, discuss it, look for like, I don't know, spin up a Kali or something, and just test it to see how it actually works. And yeah, which actually gave us like a very good practical hands-on experience. So I mean, in classes, like the theoretical aspects and some practical aspects, but we have to like find time on our own to actually learn the practical aspect. And I think one other thing is community, right? So I like to talk about it every single time, because the cybersecurity community in Nigeria as a whole has been like a very, very big boost for me. And I mean, they say you need to give to get, right? So when I started, while I was still in school, I was actually creating like cybersecurity awareness with some people in the school, like around community. So it means I didn't actually see it as giving back at that point. I just feel like I was just trying to, I feel like I was just doing it like because I wanted to, there's an opportunity to learn and talk to people at the same time. But then coming out of school, I realized that, I mean, there's like this extra, I don't know, there's this extra joy and there was this pleasure in actually, giving back. And that's why, like I said, I'm like, I'm like a very big fan of volunteer. Like you can literally find me like volunteering like in different spaces in cybersecurity. Like I'm not like, why are you always everywhere? Like I'm not everywhere, but I just find myself there, and something that gives me joy. And so I'll say community has been like a very, very good boost for me. And for me, I leverage on social media, to be very honest. I leverage on social media a lot. And I think that's really helped me. I mean, I go for interviews and it's like, oh yes, I know you. I've seen the work you do. I talk about the work I do, right? Yes, it's like a very sensitive profession, but I mean, I do like a lot of side stuff. I'm able to talk about stuff I do. I'm able to like create like cyber awareness, using my social media and stuff like that. So the community, having like a group where we have like the same mission or trying to like achieve the same aim, I think like a lot. And just like, I mean, the group we formed from school is really still very active. Like, I mean, we still communicate, we share like problems we have. And yeah, so social media too has been like a very, very good boost. I have like very, very amazing people in the community, like they're very willing to help. So, and I say personal discipline as well, because the field is like very fast evolving field. Right. I remember when I was in school, I'm like, I mean, other department is like the same course material every year, like year out. You just have to like get course material from the previous people. And I'm here getting like new course material every single time. Nobody's repeating questions for you because things are evolving and stuff like that. So you need like consistent effort to want to actually stay at top of your game, which means personal development. It could be as little as, for example, like news around happenings, latest technology. So yeah, I think that's it. Basically.
What is a community? Because and how has that help, right, in career development?
Okay, so I like this community as like a group of people, right, with the same mission, with the same objective. So I think the first community I joined was I think CCHUB Africa, if I'm not mistaken. And basically it was a community of like women.
CCHUB Africa?
Yeah, CCHUB Africa, yes. So like a community of like women in cybersecurity in Africa. So it helped me like, so this community, one, you can ask questions, and because like I said, there's not like stupid questions in the community. I can ask the latest questions. I mean, I'm trying to work on something. I feel like I need like people's idea, people's opinion. I don't have to just drop it on the group. Or I need help finishing like a project or a commitment or something. All I need to do is ask for help. So the community just is like an opportunity to like leverage on people, like people that have been there before you. Like, I mean, I have like a lot of people that have been here, like they've been in this in a very long time. So the community actually gave me an opportunity to like ask questions, talk to people, leverage on people like a lot of experiences. So and I think one interesting about community is you can join one and you can build one, right? So initially, well, like I said we had a group, right, from school. So it was more like a community at one point in time, because after we left school, we still had like this WhatsApp group where we ask questions, share ideas, share opinions. So it was like a mini community, right? So like a mini community. And before I joined like CCHUB Africa and Nigeria Force. So Nigeria Force is like I see it as like the biggest cybersecurity community in Nigeria. That's because I feel like everyone in Nigerian cybersecurity space, like every Nigerian rather in cybersecurity is in that space, whether you're in Nigeria or not. But as long as you're in Nigerian and you're in that space, like you're literally in that group. So like it just gives you an opportunity to just have like, I mean, a question with like a lot of people. And again, I think the interesting thing is because of the way the field is, most times there are openings and you actually don't see them online. They just reach out to people and say, oh, hey, CB, I have this opening. Do you have like anybody to recommend and stuff like that? And I mean, the ideal thing people like me do is just go to like the closest community, maybe like the Nigeria Force, CCHUB Africa, or like the closest group you have to say, oh, who's interested in this opening? I think I've actually been to like a lot of interviews, and I think I've gotten a job through community because someone just shared to say, oh, this particular organization is looking for like an opening. If you think you fit the role, blah blah blah, apply. So yes, I think that's what community has done for me basically. So it's like very, very key part of my career and my growth.
Okay, so I know you've been in the field for some couple of years as a pro, right? So how will you rate, or what would you say in terms of the opportunity for a security analyst or a pen tester in Nigeria compared to outside?
This is actually very tricky. Okay, there are a lot of opportunities, right? There are a lot of opportunities. I'm going to say this because, okay, I know there's this concern of this lack of cybersecurity talent in general, but I feel like the problem isn't exactly about the talent, right? So because of how where we are at, like advanced cybersecurity in Nigeria, Africa in general, they see this bridge of, I don't want like entry levels, like most times like, oh, I want like people that actually know, like that know the job that have been there before. But I mean, how do you actually get to know the job without being an entry level? So I mean, my first job was actually just right after my university, and it was actually like a whole lot because I mean, I was just coming out from school and I was literally thrown into a lot of stuff. But I mean, it was very challenging, but I was able to actually learn on it. I learned on the job, right? And because of my previous personal development, working with like a team where we learn and stuff like that, I was able to, I mean, just navigate my way around the job. So there are like a lot of opportunities, right? But then you just have to place yourself properly, that's the right word, and develop yourself as much as you can. I think I had this interview call sometime last week, and because I've known this guy personally, he actually reached out to me when I was trying to transition to cybersecurity, and when like his responses to like some cybersecurity questions, I'm like, I feel like you've been a pro in this field already, because it means actually taking like conscious effort to want to learn this thing. So I think there are like a lot of opportunities, but it's now a matter of how do you want to position yourself for us to leverage the opportunities. Like communities are like very, very important, to be honest, like very, very important, because most of like job openings I've seen, most of like the hiring I've seen, like the hiring I've seen, they're showing like in-house. We just, I mean, like community I'm in, I just like we have like CISOs, the CISOs are there, a lot of CISOs are there, and like a lot of like information security managers are there. So which means once they have like an opening, in fact, to just like make the work very easy for them and just put it, oh hey, I have like this opening, I need like this category of people who's interested. So, I mean, if you're just there and I mean, you're not leveraging on these opportunities, you're not leveraging on these communities, you can't know this an opportunity. And I think that is where everyone needs to actually find a mentor at the same time. So I don't know, I feel like people have mentorship. I don't know, people see mentorship differently, but for me, I've had like a couple of mentors. I still have them, and I've leveraged on them. I've shared my experiences, I've shared my concerns, and when I have a problem, I've shared it with them. I've shared my career progress with them. So I mean, I look of where I'm at and where I'm trying to get to. So I remember one called me at one point in time and asked if I was actually looking to transition to like a different organization, because there was this opening and she felt like I was like a very good fit for it. So in a nutshell, I'm just saying that there's like a lot of opportunities, but you just need to position yourself properly with the as little as the basic skills, to be very honest, basic skills. And yeah, and because in Africa, it's like very green. I mean, a lot of people just trying to put like security as like a core culture for the organizations. And I mean, there's been like a lot of improvements over the years. So there's a lot of opportunities, and there are going to be like a lot of opportunities. People working like freelancers, you know, like the bug bounty hunters who just like reach out to like some platforms, look for vulnerabilities in some particular organization, they get paid for it. So yeah, there are like a lot of opportunities, but like I said, just need to find a way to position yourself properly, and yeah, you get them.
So you just talk about mentors now, because I know it's very essential in growing, right, as a person. But where do they live, and how can we locate them?
Okay, so for me, so when I started reading social media, I think when I was in like 400 level thereabouts. What I did was I think I was more of a Twitter person. In fact, I feel like I'm still more of a Twitter person than a LinkedIn person, right? For some personal reasons, and the fact that I've leveraged Twitter a lot for like both personal personal stuff and professional stuff. I think I was just having a conversation with someone on how I found an anomaly, and I'm like, oh, what's this thing? And I just went to Twitter search, I just typed the process, and I'm like, I saw like a full conversation around it, and people actually seeing it. And I'm like, oh wow, this is very interesting. So I'm like a very big fan of Twitter, right? So what I did personally was I went to Twitter and then I searched for cybersecurity professionals in Nigeria. I just searched cybersecurity in Nigeria and had like a list of people, right? And then I went through their timeline to see who talks about cybersecurity, and I followed them. Right? And then I did same for LinkedIn. Then from there, I don't know. I just look for people, someone I feel like I feel like social media makes it very easy for everyone to actually talk to people regardless of where you are, right? So that's what I think, because I'm very good at kind of people I talk to, right? I'm sure my mentor, if I saw like physically, I'm not sure I will like, be able to like walk up to her to say, oh hi, I'm really fan of what you do, I like what you do and stuff like that. So their social media, your LinkedIn, your Twitter, I don't know about Facebook really, but I know they're like on LinkedIn and Twitter, like most importantly. And most times, the first thing about mentorship is sometimes they really have to tell them, oh, I want you to be my mentor, right? Because I'm not sure I ever told any one of them wants to be my mentor. All I was doing was asking questions, right? When it like help, because I'm part of my mentor was doing like a research, and then I saw like a post on social media, and I reached out to her to say, oh, how can I help with the research? What can I do? I mean, I'm in the field as well. How can I help you? So when it comes to me, I said, oh, I like to be my mentor. And I'm like, okay, so how can I help you? What do you want me to do? So my own approach was asking questions, helping as much as I can. Because like I said, I don't think I have to keep like taking. I should give as little as I can. So social media is here. There are like a lot of them. You just to it's very tricky really, because I mean, I can send some messages. People are busy with work and everything, but I mean, you don't have to message them like every now and then, every 30 minutes. Just like a very straight message. Oh, hi, in front of what you do. I have this question, I have this concern. How do I get into this field? Or
because
this field.
Yeah, that's what you just said is very, because I mean, a lot of these guys, they have a lot of things on their plate.
Definitely.
So they wouldn't want anybody to come and bring an extra load to what they already have. So just looking at how to apply wisdom in a place of you trying to just tighten up someone's space. So yeah, I mean, what you're saying is very correct. So one other thing I want to ask is, what do cybersecurity professionals, what do they do? Because, you know, you have a black hat, white hat, gray hat, green hat, and there are different hats. So, I mean, people are confused. So if I'm coming into the field, sometimes I don't even know, what am I learning? Is it red, black, green, or blue? Which blue team are?
Okay,
So can you help us to decouple?
Okay, so now that I mentioned like red hat, blue hat, so I just talk about it, right? So I mean, cybersecurity is basically about protecting like information, right? Informations, your assets, your technology, and all around that. So cybersecurity is very broad. Like there are a lot of things happening in cybersecurity, like there are a lot of domains, a lot of stuff happening. But basically, it's like two basic categories. It's like the blue hats and the red hats. We're going to use that word, right? So I just start with the red hat. So I mean, you've heard about hackers. Everybody have heard about like hackers and what they do. So basically, hackers are the ones that actually, you know, try to get access to the system. They're trying to steal information, you know, from your system, from your organization, the devices and everything. So what these red teamers do is, for them, they're not hackers, right? So they're like professionals. So they're trying to test your system to see how easy it is to actually get access to your system. So I don't like calling them hackers per se. They're like cybersecurity professionals, because I mean, everybody that tell you is like a negative connotation to the word hackers already. So they just test your, see, oh, okay, this is, oh, you have a server, or you have like a laptop, okay, let's try to see how we can actually get into, you know, this system. That's what like the red teamers do. So the red teamers, I call them like the offenders, like they're trying to offend, like trying to like find that thing, that weakness in your system that can make them like get information on your system. So now come to the blue teamers, they're like the defenders. So we have like people are going to offend, people are going to defend. So the defenders, what they do basically is they actually need to ensure that these red teamers are not able to get into the system, one. And if you get into the system, how are you going to actually, do like a damage control? So for example, talking about like setting up like a two-factor authentication is like a defense mechanism, right? And someone actually cracking your password is like an offensive mechanism. So cracking of password, which means hacking of password, it means that word, that's what everybody's very, very familiar with. That's like what a red teamer will do, which is like very offensive. And then setting like a 2FA is like what a blue teamer will do, which is like defensive. So I don't go into like the whole, broad, like, but basically like there's like a whole lot of stuff going on. Like people actually do like threat intelligence under like blue teaming, which means they need to like be like at the top of their game to understand what threats, what's that thing that we think is coming for us, what's that basically threat intelligence is just about trying to stay at the top of your game, like you're trying to be proactive. Okay, before this thing happens, I need to see that it's going to happen and put like some certain mechanism or some certain things in place to ensure that it doesn't happen. So it's like it's very broad, but I mean, I feel like once you understand what cybersecurity is about for a start, and everyone needs to start from somewhere, to be honest. But for me, I started as a security operations center analyst, which is more of a blue team. I'm like a blue team person. Like I'm like at the defensive side. So what I was doing basically was monitoring events. Let me see, for events that are happening, which one looks very suspicious, analyze them, and see what we can actually do to ensure that they're not like attacks on an organization or a system. So yes, I don't want to bore you with the whole plenty stuff around cybersecurity. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, so as a blue teamer, because one of the things we want to achieve at Twicher is to help people to build a very strong foundation, whatever technology stack that they want to go with. So because people can have the wrong notion of things, right? Mm-hmm. Especially when you don't have a proper information, right? Because you have sometimes your motivations means a lot, right? Because when you say you are hacker, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have this feeling of, because you can break into, so you can breach someone's password. You feel like a god. You get. Mm-hmm. So, but the thing is, we have Nigeria, right? And we have our own challenges. Definitely. In terms of looking at the learning parts now, because what someone in the US will learn is, I mean, they are the same tool, but you are just looking at the demand in the market space, right? So what tool will you advise as a blue teamer? What tools do you use? Okay, and then looking at the Nigerian context, instead of, because we don't do a lot of penetration testing. I don't know if I'm correct.
It depends on the context. Okay. It depends on the context.
So because you are looking at, when you are learning a skill, right? One other thing you are looking at is employability. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you want to go and do penetration testing, how many companies in Nigeria do pen tests on a regular basis? No, I know they do pen testing, but on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. So would you rather be a pen tester who is not on the job for like 3 months or 4 months? Or would you be a SOC analyst who knows that, okay, at least every month paycheck is coming in? What is your advice?
Okay, so I'm just going to, just before I dive into your question, right, I just want to say something, right? So because I'm currently an advocate of cybersecurity, not just like the technicals, like the like stuff around, aside from the hacking, whatever, the blue teaming, SOC analysts, they're like the governance risk and compliance aspect of it, which talks about policies. And the thing is, this policy is actually like a very, very key part of cybersecurity, because it talks about like processes and how you actually need to put some stuff in place to ensure that, I mean, they're not even like hackers in the environment and stuff like that. So first, cybersecurity is not just like technical, it's about like being a hacker, a SOC analyst, a penetration tester, whichever you want to call it. It's like stuff that talks about compliance, risk management, and governance, as the case may be. So you might just want to look at that aspect as well, because I figured that I currently mentor some girls, right, for cyber girls. And I think that's part of the conversation we've had. Some people are like, oh, I don't like the technical. I don't like, when I go to Cali, I don't like, the feel and everything. I feel like, and I'm like, you know what? You don't really have to, you might not like it now, but I mean, if you start from somewhere, you might actually, get to love it and stuff like that. So I had to like build that impression of an understanding that it's not just about hacking, it's just about Kali. There's like other stuff you can actually do in cybersecurity. Like, I mean, like people that actually does cybersecurity awareness, right? And what they do is they just look for, they just stay at top of their game around happenings and then go as far as creating content to make like organizations, individuals aware of what to actually, stay abreast of. So that's just the one thing I wanted to point to. Talking about tools. So I think for Nigeria, right, it's very interesting because you actually can't even be in a particular domain at the same time. Right? I remember we had this Twitter space at one point in time having this conversation. I'm like, I'm going into an organization as a SOC analyst, right? And before you know, I'm doing policy. I'm kind of like on assessment. And I'm like, how is this even possible? But then I think the interesting thing is it can be like a lot of work at times, but you get to learn like different stuff at the same time. So I'm not really going to be very particular about the tools, right? I'm not very particular about understanding what it's all about, right? So first and foremost, I just like people to understand the fact that you can't just jump into cybersecurity as a field because there are a lot of like basic concepts you need to understand. Networking is like very key. Like it's like very, very key. Like you need to understand networking because what you're trying to protect is actually connected to the internet, right? I mean, most times that's like the basics of what you're trying to protect. Even they have like other papers around, but most cases, what you're actually trying to protect is connected to the internet. So you need to understand like networking. And I'm not going to talk about programming because I was having this argument recently. I'm like, why is everybody always about, for you to be in this profession, you need to understand, you need to know how to code. I don't code, but I can read like codes. That's because I've actually learned a bit of Python, Java at one point in time, but I can't code. But when I see the code, I can actually read them. I know what they mean. I know what they're supposed to do, interestingly. So coding and understanding how to code or knowing how to code is like a very big plus, like a very, very big plus, to be very honest. I wish I could, but maybe because I'm not really, because of the space I've been in or the work I've got to do, I've not really needed to, really, really want to learn it. But I feel like when I get to that point where I really need to, understand or use code, right, or write code, actually carry out like my daily activities, I'm definitely going to be forced to learn it. But basically, right, you can't just come on and say, oh, I want to do cybersecurity and just dive into cybersecurity. I think it's very interesting to like get the basics, like understand like the networking most importantly, and that's like a very good place to start. So I'm not talking about tools because it's very tricky. That's because I used Kali Linux at one point in time when I was trying to understand the whole practical aspects. But I mean, when I worked in the enterprise for like a year plus, I'm not sure I ever had a reason to use Kali Linux, right? Because I've got like a lot of tools. So tools are now dependent on organization and the job role they're actually trying to do in particular. So for a blue team, okay, I think one of the most stressing things that everyone should actually know if you're going to go into blue team is a SIM. It's called the Security Information and Event Management. So it's a tool, right, where you have to like, basically what happens is there's like a server somewhere where you send logs to, and this actually analyzes, all the logs, all the events in organization, and comes up with, possible threats, possible anomalies, things that are not normal, like in organizations and everything. So for red teaming, it could be like Kali, like a very basic place for everyone to start, like a very good place for everyone to start. A lot of people use Kali. And one thing I like about Kali is it can be very interesting. And thanks to virtual box, like virtual machines, you can actually just set up something. You have like your Kali, your virtual box, have like your Windows system, your virtual box. Actually just try to, crack maybe like your Windows 10 system, your virtual machine. So I think that's very, very interesting about the tech space in general. I can always like easily play around with like concepts and everything, like opportunity to play around. So I'm not going to say you should just like be looking at tools and everything, but you just to understand the basics first, really. Understand the basics, the networking part and everything. Then if you find like a place where you want to be, you can now start looking at, what's happening in the space, what are those tools I need to do. But I know for a blue teamer, the SIM is very important to like, it's like super, super important. for everyone to actually understand how it works. And it's thing about SIM is there like a lot of products like around, a lot of brands, a lot of solutions. So now you now have to look for like a particular solution to understand how it works. And well, if you use a particular solution and like get into an organization and there's something else, the thing is actually have like the same concepts, like the same underlying concept. I mean, obviously managing events and correlating logs and everything. You just feel like a very high level understanding of what the SIM does and how it's supposed to work. So you can easily like just tweak your your knowledge and everything to the particular solution you made. I don't know if that answers the question, but yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, thank you so much. You're like an information center.
Thank you.
It was nice being with you on the call, and we're surely going to have this call again, and this time around we are going to go more in depth, but because of time, because as humans we have our attention lifespan. So, and I think we've exceeded the attention lifespan of some people. So, well, I trust before the year ends, because we are still in this. We want to try as much as possible to ensure that we keep an open information, right, where people who wants to go into this field and get as much information and they are well equipped, okay, before they go out to the job environment. So thank you so much, Simbiat. It was nice having you, and I really appreciate your time. How can people that want to get in touch with you, say they are not very active on Facebook and LinkedIn, though I've shared your LinkedIn profile, how can they get in touch?
Are you on Twitter? I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Twitter. I feel like a lot of people are on Twitter, to be honest. So LinkedIn, Twitter. So yes, I think I'm always there. Not like I'm always there, but I'm easily accessible there more. So that's the right word. So yeah.
All right. Okay. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right. Thank you. You too. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Okay. So we'll call on the last speaker for today, which is Boma. Boma is someone that I've known, not someone, is a friend I've known. He was part of our first speaker when we started Twicher back in the days. So hi, Boma.
Hi. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon. You've grown in size.
Yeah.
Okay, it's nice to have you again.
Yeah, I'm actually happy to be here.
How has it been? It's been a while.
Yeah, sure. I've been good. Okay.
Okay, so Boma started as a product. Oh, well, you studied agriculture, was it?
Yeah, I actually studied agricultural economics.
Yeah, so he studied agricultural economics in the university, but today is in a different field. I mean, it's totally different from. It's far away from farming and anything that has to do with agriculture. So is now into product design, and is very vast in terms of experience. He has been working as a product designer for a couple of years, and I think recently is about to launch a startup. So I'll just give him the space to share the knowledge that he has for the community. So you can have this center stage now.
All right, thank you. All right, yeah, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where you are watching this live stream from. So I'm Boma, and I'm a product designer. I've been a product designer for over 4 years now. I'm currently the co-founder of CLINE, which is a startup I just launched a few months ago. I'm hoping you can see my screen because
Yes, I can see your screen.
All right, cool. So yeah, I'm basically going to give you. I know you've been listening to these conversations for a couple of hours now. I think this started by like 11:30. So it's been like a really long day for everybody already. So I'm just going to like run through the slides that I prepared for my talk. And then after that, if you have questions or if Roland has questions to ask, we can just take that as well. I'm going to run through the slides, but what I'm going to do is I'll make it available as well after the talk, in case you need to look at it. So what I'm focused on talking about today is the design career path, right? As this program starts, there are some of you that are, I mean, you're still thinking about what area to focus on, right? Because today alone, you've heard a lot of discussions around different programming languages and different areas that you can focus on or specialize in, as far as tech goes. So what I really want to do is to help you understand what a design career looks like in tech. So I'm going to talk about what design is, and then I'm going to talk about the different types of designers, and then we're also going to look at the different career prospects that you have if you decide to become a designer. Cool. So let's jump right into it. So once you talk about design, right, the first question that you normally ask is, okay, what is design, right? Because design is actually used in so many ways, and there are so many different kinds of designers. And as a result of that, there are like a lot of different definitions about what design is. So if you ask anybody, right, what design is, they'll most likely have like a bunch of different answers to give you. But for me, the best way I define design is design is problem solving, right? Essentially, what you're doing as a designer is you're solving problems, okay? There are like different kinds of problems that designers solve, all right? And that depends on the particular type of designer that you are. But from like a general overview, right? What you're doing as a designer is essentially solving problems. You are solving problems for people in order to make their lives easier, in order to make their everyday lives simpler and easier, right? So those problems could be as simple as making sure that people get the information, right, that you are communicating to them. So I'll give you a good example. I'm pretty sure on the live stream, there's like a piece of graphic design, right? Yeah, so that was designed by someone, right? And as they designed that, they were trying to solve a particular problem. They want to make sure that they communicate clearly, right, what this event is about. So designers solve like a huge variety of problems. It can be a communication problem. You want to ensure that you're communicating clearly. It could be that you want to make people's that you get to solve as a designer. Hope you can still hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Or is glitching.
All right. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, it should be stable now.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. Thanks. So yeah, like I said, right, the best way to think about design is that design is a solution to a problem, okay? So if you say you want to become a designer, essentially you are becoming a problem solver, all right? And these problems can take different shapes and forms depending on the kind of designer that you are. So yeah, if you look around you, right, in your everyday life, right, every single thing that you interact with has been designed by someone, okay? So from the chair that you're sitting on, right, that was designed by somebody, right? the table you have there, it was designed by someone, right? The phone you're using, it was designed by someone, right? The computer you're using, pretty much everything, the cups that you used to drink or the plates that you eat from every day, they were designed by someone, okay? So when you look around you at the entire world, right, everything around you is actually designed. But some things are designed well, while some things are designed poorly, okay? So everything around you is designed, but some things are designed well, while other things are designed poorly. So whenever I give these talks, I like to show people some examples of good design and bad design. So I will just run you through some of these examples here. So if you can see what I'm showing, right? So this is an example of a bad design, right? So imagine you need to use an ATM machine, right? And then it's so way up, right, that you pretty much have to like stand on something in order for you to get to that ATM machine, right? You already see how frustrating that is. So you will notice that when something is well designed, it makes your life easier. It makes your life simpler, right? And it gives you pleasure. It gives you delight. It's not frustrating. But when something is badly designed, right, it's frustrating, it's hard to use, it's difficult. The whole experience, right, is difficult and painful for you. So that's the difference between a good design and a bad design. And essentially the difference also between a good designer and a bad designer. So every designer is trying to solve a problem, right? But some do a better job at solving that problem than other people do. Okay. There's still like a bunch of this. So imagine if these are a flight of stairs, right? But because of the patterns that were used on this, right, I'm pretty sure you're going to trip and fall if you try walking down these stairs. Now, take a look at this other example. So this is a sign, right? Yeah. So can you tell me where the customer car park is and where the delivery is? You can see that that's confusing, right? Because of where the arrows are. Yes. So you could essentially interpret it as the deliveries are on your right hand side, but then this arrow is also here. So it could be on your left hand side, right? The same thing for the car park, right? So this is just confusing, right? Take a look at this other example. So this is from an interface. I'm pretty sure you've all visited websites that were so frustrating for you to use. Imagine having to fill out these many fields on a form, right, before you can click to submit, right? This is just frustrating, right? Or something like this, right? Imagine you have to input your phone number on an app, right? And then you pretty much have to click every single one of these boxes to select your number, right? This is just frustrating. Okay, so again, everything is designed, but some things are well designed, while some things are poorly designed. I could show you some examples of some really good designs, right? Like what you're seeing currently. So this is a product. It's actually a smart stick for blind people, right? So it helps them find their way around town, right? It actually includes a voice assistant that helps give them directions as they walk around the city. Yeah, this is an app. So imagine you want to buy a pair of glasses online, right? How do you know they fit you, right? So somebody created an app where you can actually try on those glasses right from where you are at home. You see how that makes your life simpler and way easier, right? This is a company in Ghana, right? So they pretty much help farmers in remote areas. They give them access to information about like food prices, about what the weather is like, right? So that they know how best to cultivate their crops, right? So this is another example of a good design. Or this particular typeface. So this is actually a font that was designed for people that have low vision, right? So if you have some form of visual impairments, this font was designed in a way that you can still see the font, you can still see what was written. And the last example I have here is, So this is an app that basically lets you monitor the quality of air in your room. So that in case there's like any harmful objects in the air, any harmful gases in the air, you get alerted to it ahead of time. So, I mean, if you look around you again, you can see these examples every day. I'm pretty sure you interface with different websites, different apps every day, right? And some of them are so fun to use, right? Whereas some of them are so frustrating to use. So that's like a good example of good design and then bad design. So again, from where we started from, as a designer, you're solving problems. You're solving problems for people. You want to make people's lives easier, right? So depending on the type of problem that you're solving, you can be called different types of designer, okay? So I'm going to walk you through some of the most common types of designers that you have in tech. So because of the nature of the event, I'm focusing on design careers that you can find in tech. I mean, because even outside of tech, they're like other design fields or design disciplines. So first of all, you have graphic designers, okay? So graphic designers, they basically create visuals or graphics. So you have stuff like posters or flyers or logos or books or packaging. That's pretty much what a graphic designer does. They help design all of those things. Then you also have motion designers, okay? So motion designers deal with movement, right? So animation, right? Storytelling through animation and movement. That's pretty much what motion designers do. Then you also have digital art, illustration, and 3D. So this is where, so you can see some of the examples here. So 3D designers or illustrators or digital artists, they basically create images that you can use for like flyers or on your app or on websites, right? That's pretty much what digital artists or illustrators, 3D designers do. Then you also have industrial product designers. So these are the ones that design hardware or physical objects that you interact with. So for instance, the designer that designed your phone or your laptop, right? Or your headset, for instance, they are called industrial product designers. So they focus on hardware. So hardware are physical objects, things that you can see and touch, right? And then the final category, which is what I do, is digital product design. So these are designers that create apps, okay? So whether they are apps that work on your phone or they are apps that work on your computer, that's what they focus on. They're called digital product designers. So I'm pretty sure you've heard of the word UI, UX design, right? So this is where it falls under, right? So UI design is user interface design. And then UX design is user experience design. So the user interface designer is the one that designs what the app is going to look like, okay? While the UX designer designs what the experience will be like. So how the app flows together, right? All the steps that the user has to take, the whole structure or architecture of the app, that's done by a UX designer. So digital product design covers all of that. It covers user interface, it covers user experience, it covers user research, basically the whole end-to-end process of creating a web app or a mobile app. All right, cool. Now, when you start thinking about becoming a designer, there are like a lot of different career opportunities that you have available to you. And I'm going to walk you through some of them. So as any of those designers I mentioned, whether a graphic designer, a motion designer, a product designer, you actually have all of these options available to you. So first of all, you could work in-house in a particular company, right? So these days, the demand for designers is actually growing. So there are always a lot of companies looking to hire designers, right? So if you're working in-house, it means you're working for that particular company. So it can be like Google or Facebook or Paystack or Flutterwave, right? They actually hire designers that work in-house in those companies. So you're basically helping them build the product. If you're a product designer, or if you're like a graphic designer, you're the one designing all the graphics that they use for social media or their flyers and so on. Now, you can also work in an agency or a studio, or you could decide to start your own agency or studio. So agencies or design studios, they are companies, right, that do design work for other companies. Okay, so they don't have their own products, but they basically have companies that they work with. So for instance, a design studio like Pentagram, right, that's one of the top design studios in the world. So they're an agency, right? So they work for like different companies and help them out with their design work. Yeah, so you could work in-house in a particular company. You could work in an agency or a design studio. You can also start your own company, right? Which is what I'm doing currently. I just started my own company. There are so many companies in the world that were founded by designers. One of the most common examples is Airbnb. So Airbnb was founded by a designer. One of the co-founders of Instagram was also a designer. So that's one benefit of learning design is the fact that you acquire the skill set to solve problems. And then you can basically apply that to like a number of fields or a number of areas, as well. You can also be a freelancer or an independent designer. So if you're a freelancer, it means you're not working for a particular company, you're not working for a particular studio, right? But you just take on projects from different clients from time to time. Then the last option there, you could also go into teaching and research, right? There are a lot of design schools in Nigeria and in other places around the world. You can actually start teaching as well, right? So if you've acquired your skills as a designer, you could start teaching design, you could start teaching that to other people. So yeah, those are the major career paths that you can decide to take as a designer. So the next thing I want to talk about is, I'm almost done. These are some of the key traits that you need in order for you to be a successful designer. The first thing you need is curiosity, right? You have to be very open-minded because as a designer, you have to keep learning about the world around you, right? So it means you have to be curious. So let me explain what I mean. So today you might be designing a product in healthcare, right? Tomorrow you may find yourself designing a product in education or in finance or in some other areas, right? And you need to understand those different areas or those different disciplines if you want to do a very good work as a designer. So it means you have to stay curious. You have to always be learning. You have to be open-minded. What I do personally is, so I have like a bunch of newsletters that I subscribe to, right? I have a bunch of blogs that I read from time to time. I have like mentors that I follow online. So Twitter is like like one of the speakers mentioned, right? Twitter, LinkedIn, those are places where you can find other designers and then you can see what they're doing. You can see what they're talking about. For designers also, sites like Dribble or Behance, right? Those are all places where many designers gather, right? And then you can be a part of those conversations. You can learn from people. Communities are also important. One of the things that helped me the most when I started learning design was I joined a community of designers in Lagos called Usable. So we used to have like monthly events where we come together, we talk about design, you get to network with other designers and so on. So you need curiosity. You have to always be learning if you want to grow and succeed as a designer. The second thing you need is empathy, right? Remember all those examples of bad design that we talked about, right? You are solving a problem for people. So it means you have to be able to put yourself in their shoes, right? So, I mean, if you have to imagine yourself using what you designed. And if it doesn't feel enjoyable, right, then you know that you are not doing the right thing. So you need empathy as a designer. You also need a thick skin, right? What that means is you shouldn't take critique personally, okay? Because once you start designing, once you start putting your work out there, because I mean, one of the biggest challenges that designers face is they always feel scared to put their work out there, right? But that's something you actually need to do if you want to grow as a designer. You have to share your work with other people. Now, when you do that, you're going to get feedback from people. You're going to get critique from people. Now, not everybody knows how to give good feedback. Some people don't know how to give good feedback, all right? And so they may say things that might be hurtful to you. So you actually need to have a thick skin. You should be able to separate your work from your person, okay? So when somebody is critiquing your work, they are not critiquing you. They are not criticizing you, right? It's your work that they're talking about. So you need a thick skin to be able to take criticism. You also need to be a good communicator because you'll be talking about your work, right? When you share your work, either publicly or in the company that you work for, you actually have to explain what you're doing. You have to explain why the design looks like this. Why did you decide on this particular direction for the design? So you need to be a good communicator. You have to be able to talk about your work as a designer. And then the final thing you need is an eye for detail, okay? That means you need to be committed to excellence, okay? You have to pay attention to the smallest details of your work because that's what makes the difference between a successful designer and then a designer that's not so successful. Is the fact that you are able to pay attention to the tiniest details of your work. Yeah, so this is pretty much the end, but one of the final things I wanted to talk about is, so there's a Japanese concept called ikigai. It's basically a way of finding what your life's work or what your reason for being is. Because in the course of all of these conversations we've had today, right, there are so many possible things that you could do. There are so many directions that you could decide to go in. And so most times a lot of people get confused, right? What should I do? What should I focus on? So this concept can help you think about that and find an answer. So the whole concept of ikigai is based on 4 things, right? It's an intersection of 4 things. So number 1 is what you love. Number 2 is what the world needs, right? What do people need? What skills are in demand? The third thing is what you can be paid for, right? That's something you also have to think about. And then what you're good at, okay? So what you love, what the world needs, what you can be paid for, and then what you're good at. When you bring all of those 4 things together, the intersection of all those 4 things is what is actually called ikigai, which is like your reason for being, or like, to put it simply, right, what you should focus on, what you should decide to do, what path you should decide to explore. So just think about those things perhaps later, right? So think about the things that you really love, the things that you enjoy doing, right? Balance that with what the world needs. Because it's not enough for you to just love something. If nobody needs it, and if nobody is paying for it, then I mean you can't really make a living out of that, right? So it has to be like a balance of those 4 concepts. So find what you're good at, what you love, what the world needs, what's in demand, and then what you can be paid for. Like I mentioned earlier in the talk, designers are actually in demand around the world. So many companies are hiring for designers. But you have to find what area of design you want to focus on. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. So I'm happy to take any questions that you have. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Boma. Thank you for a wonderful presentation. But I just want to ask, what is usability to a design?
All right, cool. All right, cool. So when you talk about usability as a designer, right? What you're talking about is how you're basically looking at the whole experience of a product. So let's take a mobile app, for instance, right? Let's take a banking app, for instance. When you talk about the usability of that banking app, what you're talking about is what is the whole experience like? When people use the app, when people try to make a transaction, when people try to make a transfer, what is the experience like, right? Is it intuitive, or do people have to think before they know what to do? Is it seamless, right? Or do people have to go through like a dozen steps before they complete one action? So usability is that whole idea. It covers the entire experience of whatever you're talking about, whether it's an app, whether it's a physical object, whatever piece of design you're talking about. Usability is, what's the experience like, right? Is it seamless? Is it intuitive? Or is it frustrating for users? So your whole work as a designer is to ensure that whatever you're designing is usable by people. It's not frustrating for them, right? But rather it's seamless, it's intuitive for them to use. Yeah.
Okay. Because is that different from simplicity?
Okay. Yeah. So do I see usability? It actually brings all of these different elements together. So yeah, it actually incorporates simplicity. The reason for that is, I mean, if something is complex, right, then it will be difficult for anybody to use. Okay. So that's why you always hear designers talking about simplicity. It's because it's a major component of usability. If the product is not simple to use, right, if it's hard, if it's complex, then that affects the usability of the product. Yeah.
Okay, because one thing that there's something that I love about Apple, not just the products, but whenever I interact with their websites,
Yeah.
the feel, right? The feel of the color, the font, the choice of you just want to buy something. You get even with the fact that they now have a customized, it just creates a beauty for you. So because I know that for you to come up with something like that, it takes a lot. I mean, you must have people that I know. For a company that is as large as Apple, they can have they can have a team that is just focusing on fonts to do research for fonts and stuff like that. But for a designer just starting out, what are the inspiration? I mean, when you are designing a product, all right, if a customer approach you, when you are designing a product, what should you be looking at? What details should you be looking at? Yeah.
All right, cool. That's a really good question. So as a designer that's looking to start out, I think, first of all, one of the most important things you can do for yourself as a designer that's just starting out is surround yourself with good design, right? Surround yourself with as much good design as possible. So look at companies like Apple, look at companies like Airbnb, look at companies like Google, right? Use their products, use their app. Just look out for well-designed products. The reason for that is it will give you inspiration. It will give you a starting point whenever you need to design something, right? So when you surround yourself with good design, you can more easily notice bad design when you see it, right? Because you already know what good design is like. You already interact with good design, right, on a day-to-day basis. So it's easier for you to identify something that's bad design. So as a designer just starting out, find these sources of inspiration. That's why I mentioned like Dribble or Behance. There are like a number of these sites that you can go to and you can see examples of good design. So by the time you're now working on your own project, you have like all of this knowledge and all of this experience to draw from. Some other things you need to pay attention to as you start learning design is, spend some time learning the basic principles of design. Okay, so in user interface design, you have to learn principles like typography, right? So you need to understand how typefaces work, right? How to select fonts, right? How to pair fonts together. You need to learn things like font heights and font weights and so on. You need to master color, right? Because color is a huge part of design. So it means you have to understand things like color psychology. You need to understand how to mix different colors together, how to choose colors for your project. You need to learn things like layout, right? How to design a layout where elements should be on your design. So you have these core principles that you need to master first. So one common mistake that designers do is they just want to jump to designing something, okay? But the truth is that whenever you look at any piece of design, right, it's a conscious effort. The designer knows exactly what they're doing. There's a reason why they chose this particular font. There's a reason why they chose this color. There's a reason why this text is this large, right? There's a reason why this element is positioned on this part of the screen and not on this part of the screen. All of those things are guided by design principles. So you need to first spend time learning and understanding those design principles. And then when it comes to like user experience too, there are like a lot of other principles as well that you need to learn. So what I would say is, first spend time learning those fundamentals, those basic principles. Because when you master them, right, then you can be able to use them to create whatever it is that you want to create. Yeah.
Okay, so another thing I want to ask is, because most often you hear people say, I'm a UI UX.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a huge difference in them. So can you help us to shed more light in that regard?
All right, cool. Yeah, so you actually have people who are just UI designers, right? That's all they do. They're just UI designers. And then you have people who are just UX designers. But then you also have people who have both skill sets. So they call themselves UI, UX designers, right? But they're actually different skill sets. So let me start with a UX designer. So let's say you want to design a banking app, okay? This is what a UX designer does. So a UX designer will start by conducting user research, okay? So it means that they will talk to the target audience for that product, okay? So they will have interviews with them, or they'll give them surveys, and all they are trying to do is to understand what their needs are, okay? So that's where a UX designer starts from. They want to understand, okay, are you using any banking app currently? Okay. Do you have any troubles using the app? What are your biggest pain points? What frustrates you about the current app that you're using? Or if you're not using any banking app, why is that? Why is it that you don't know where to download apps, or you are just not computer literate? A UX designer starts from user research, which is basically understanding the pain points and the needs of people. So from the user research, right, a UX designer derives insights about the user and about the product that they want to build. Okay, so from talking to people, they're able to understand, okay, these are the pain points that people have with the current products that they're using, or if they are not using any product at all, this is why they are not using any products. Now, it is those insights that a UX designer gets that will now determine what kind of app you want to build or what kind of product you want to build. So a UX designer conducts user research and then summarizes all of that research and then uses that to create a framework for the product. So for instance, a UX designer creates what we call user flows, okay, which is a part of information architecture. So a UX designer is going to design what the flow of the app is going to look like. So what I mean by user flow is, okay, this is the page where people land, okay? When they click on this button, this is where it takes them. When they click on that button, that's where it takes them, right? So a UX designer maps out all of those flows for how the app is going to work, okay? Some UX designers also go as far as designing wireframes. So wireframes are just very simple, basic versions of the product, of the app that you're building, okay? That's a UX designer. Now, a UI designer is the one that actually designs what the interface is going to look like. So a UI designer is the one that selects the colors to use, the fonts to use, the layout, right? So basically all of the things that you see and interact with, okay, as far as that product goes, we're using an app, for example, okay, that's done by the UI designer. So the UI designer actually picks up from where the UX designer stops. So they take everything that the UX designer has done, and then they use that to actually create the actual app, right? They design the actual app. Yeah. So a UX designer focuses on the experience, right? While a UI designer focuses on the interface itself. So the interface is what you're looking at, the text, the colors, the buttons, the input fields, all of that. Is a UI designer that decides how to place them, how to arrange them on the interface. So yeah, that's like a quick difference between UI and
Okay, thank you so much, Boma. It was nice having you on the call. I don't want to further the questions. I'll share your social media link on the chat.
Okay.
So the students are free to get in touch with you via LinkedIn or social channel. Thank you so much once again for joining. It was a privilege having you on board. All right.
Yeah.
Bye.
All
right.
Bye.
Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. Oh, so sorry, you can't see my face. My camera has just decided not to come up today. Okay. So to go back to so first I'd like to apologize. I know it has been a long day, and so for those of you who have been online since the inception of this chat up to this point, I really like to appreciate you all. So our training program will start on the 25th. Okay, so that was stated. It's not 20. It's 25th of this month, which is that to the next week Saturday. Okay, and we are going to have different tracks. Now, from the form you fill, based on the tracks that you have, that's where you belong to. Okay, so for those of you that feel the cybersecurity track, you belong to the cybersecurity track. So later on, we are going to, because some of you that have joined the Slack group and you've joined the cybersecurity track or the data analytics track, that's not the track for you to join. We are going to create the new track because those tracks were for the old sets. Okay, so we are going to create a new track today. So you can join the new track. It's going to be labeled Stream 2. Okay, so you can join the new track. So after that, you get to meet all your facilitators. Now, the mode of this training is divided into 3 phases, right? The first one is going to be for 1 month, which is the beginner's phase. Now, what the beginner's phase tends to do is to establish a strong foundation for you, okay? So for this first month, we are going to brush through the beginner's phase. So for people in data analytics, you have to start with Excel, okay, before you can now move to the advanced part of Power BI and creating, building a dashboard and all that. Just like some of the speakers have said, for the data analytics, for the cybersecurity, you need to start with networking, understanding Kali Linux as a tool. So that is the modality at which we've structured this program. Okay, so it's going to be, we're not going to use YouTube Live for your training session. Okay, all our training session is going to be live on Zoom. Okay, where you get to interact with your facilitators, you can ask questions. And one other thing I want to emphasize is that at the end of the program, you are going to have a test. Okay, at the end of every program, every training session, you are going to have a test. During the week, you are going to have a project. So it's going to be hands-on, because what our target, our focus is that at the end of these 3 months, by the time you are done with this program in December, you should have the building blocks of what it takes to build a project or to get a project up and running. Okay, so that is what we are looking at. So it's going to be more taxing, it's going to be more demanding. Okay, it will demand a lot. And I also want to emphasize that as we moved on, we'll be scaling now. We'll be screening out people because we want to pay attention to those that are focused. Okay, so one, your attendance is very important. Submitting your assignments is very important. Submitting your project is very important. Okay, so these are the criteria we use in screening out. So the first screening will start from the second week. So as soon as we are done, okay, we move to the second phase, which is more the intermediate phase. Now the intermediate, so the beginner's phase is totally free, but the intermediate phase, from the intermediate phase to the advanced phase will require a token of 10,000. Now, the reason why we do that is initially we don't use to charge money. We run this program for 3 months, usually 3 months for free. But what we've noticed is that over time, people will just come on board and then there's no sign of seriousness. Sometimes they don't come to they don't show up in the class, they don't submit projects, okay? And then after they've gone for like 2-3 weeks, you see them coming back again to tell you that they don't understand and all that. So they drag the facilitators back. We want to avoid that, okay? So at the end of the beginner's phase, you're required to pay a token of 10,000. And now this 10,000 naira, we're also preparing, because what we do is at the end of the day, at the end of the training, you will have to write a professional certification, okay? So, and this certification, they are usually around $186 because it is Microsoft certification for people that will be doing the data analytics. For data analytics, we use Microsoft tool, which is the Power BI and Excel. And then for the cloud, we will be doing the Azure cloud, okay? So you'll be writing your certification. We will prepare you for the certification, but you have to buy your exam voucher. We will help you to get the exam voucher for a discounted rate. So instead of paying $186, we will make it accessible to you for an affordable price, little lower than maybe 20,000 or 15,000 naira, so that by the time you are done, you have your certification and then you have your skill to back up your certification. So that is what we are looking at. So our training will start on September 25th. Before then, you get to meet with your facilitators, okay? We'll share the timeline and then the curriculum, the training plan with you on the Slack group. Mind you, we'll use Slack channel for our Slack is going to be a major communication channel, right? We are not using WhatsApp because of the modality of the program, sharing files and all that. And with the numbers of people that we have, WhatsApp cannot accommodate that. So we are optimizing the Slack platform, okay, as a communication channel. So that is that for now until we kickstart. So please, punctuality is very important. Your attendance is very important. And then submitting your assignment is also important. And one other thing we also do is that at the end of the training, when there are jobs opportunities, we also throw those opportunities open. Okay, so if you feel you are ready, you can sign up, you can apply. Okay, so we are looking at creating opportunities, okay, for people, making your journey easier, right? Because you are part of a community, and like most of the speakers have said, community is very important for your development. Okay, so after the first month, you'll be part of the group, right? You belong to a small group where you can, it's a focus group where you'll be working on projects. If you have issues, before you can go to your facilitators, first of all, you share that issue with your team members. Okay, if it's not something that they can help out with, that is where your facilitators and your mentors can now come in. Okay, so yeah, so so let me answer the question. For web development, web development does not require certification, okay? But you get certification of attendance. Now, for your web development, what is important to you, or what you should pay attention to, is being able to build projects. Because when you go for interviews, they don't ask for certification, right? They want to see your GitHub repository. Okay, how many projects have you done? What have you done, right? So that is what we are looking at. So for the web base, you are strictly going to be working on projects. Okay, so by the time you are done, you have at least maybe 1 or 2 projects that you can showcase. And then for product design, there are no certification for product design, except you want to go and do the Google certification on UX, okay, which is not something that we can offer you. We can only refer you, okay, but we cannot, we'll make reference to that. Yes, for data, I just stated that for data analytics, you will be writing the DA100, which is a Microsoft certification, right? It's a 3-hour certification, and usually the cost for that is $186. But we will make it affordable for at least a little around $17 or $15. Okay, so you can sit and then you get your professional certification, and we have to use this window because this opportunity is going to close soon in December. I think in December, Microsoft is going to end that particular opportunity for you to write your certification at a discounted rate. So for your web technologies, for your web development, you'll be working more with JavaScript, okay? So, but more information will be given to you when your facilitators and your mentors come on board. So you get to meet them soon. You get to meet them as soon as possible before the end of the week. So for your UI UX, please, what's the question? For your UI UX, is it the tool or certification? So if it's about the tool, we will be using, we are using Figma. We're using Figma. If time permits, we can dive deep into Adobe XD. So I won't want to because it's almost 3. So I just said that the learning, we are going to be using Zoom or Google Meet, right, for our live sessions. All trainings are live sessions, okay? Okay, so if you haven't joined the Slack channel, I'll just share the link to the Slack channel now. But you get a mail, you get a mail before Wednesday, okay? So if you can't get the link to join the Slack channel, you get the link, on your mail, okay? Please always ensure to check on, I know Slack is not a platform of choice for most people in terms of managing communication and all that, but we will be using Slack, okay? We've been using Slack, and going forward, we are using Slack. So you try as much as possible to log in to check for updates, projects, and assignments, okay? Because at this point, we won't be taking excuses, okay? So I'll post the link, the Slack link on the chat window. Okay, so thank you so much for staying tuned. I really appreciate every one of you. So we look forward to getting to see more of you and then getting to know you better as we make progress. Okay. So if you have someone who will be interested, the form is still open. Okay, we'll keep the form open up till Thursday. And then after that, we're going to close it. So thank you so much for joining. Give me a minute. So let me just try and put the Slack link for those of us who haven't joined the Slack channel. So, okay, so I posted the link on the chat window. So if you haven't joined the Slack channel, kindly do so. Thank you so much. At this point, I'd like to call it a day. So we meet over on Slack. So for every other question, kindly put them on the Slack group, okay? And we will attend to them. Thank you so much. Bye.